Hey everybody, before we get started, just reminding you this episode brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHarp, Hangout Comics, Architect 10, Blacklist OG, Carlos, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Dunn, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Rogue Robin, Shawnee P, some guy named Bob, Soda-san, 0424, 723, and Zach Reed. If you like what we do most of these work, consider us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other crazy where we help us out. Thank you for your support, everybody. Alright, well, let's just roll the microphones on a super late night tonight. What's up? Welcome to Sleepy Time Junction. What's up? It's not even really that late, though. It's only like 9.
Nah.
It was later yesterday when I streamed Squadrons than it is now.
Yes.
But, well, since we brought up that it is late, if you want to talk about why it's later today we're recording it, we can go ahead and jump into that as a kind of a context thing, if it matters.
It's not like a super big thing, but it was literally the moment of, Lucky had sat down. He's like, alright, I am ready to start recording. I message Omega, like, yo, Omega, I'm ready to do the thing. And Omega's like, alright, cool, let me do something. Then I will do the thing as well. And unfortunately, that was the exact moment that I was called to help out with a thing. And unfortunately, that thing took like 4 hours to do. And I'm just like, I think it was like, it was about a half hour ago. I messaged Omega saying like, hey, I'm almost done with the thing. I'll be back here soon. Do you still want to record? And he's just like, yeah, no, I see no reason not to. And I was like, okay.
Yep.
Luckily, it didn't take me as long as I thought it would to get home because I wasn't sure.
No, but yeah, so that was just a funny little bit of a irony where we were just like, oh yeah, no, we're doing the thing. Oh, nope, we're not doing the thing. Okay,
nope.
Let's go back and do stuff. But yeah, so I think we have quite a few things to talk about today with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the question is just where we want to start.
I don't know. Squadron is fresh on your minds. You want to put your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. I did mention it earlier.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. The archive's there. There may be some weird muted bits as I wrestle with Disney, but
Disney actually was all like, "Give me your money."
Oh yeah, no. They're playing fucking John Williams music. Of course they are. They own all that now. They're like, no, you can't do that. Your monetization, my monetization. I'm like, can we not? Not that it matters super much. I've already committed to the bit. It's just, I'd appreciate if they didn't do that. But anyway, check it out. It's basically the first 3-ish hours. No, you've heard some people talk about the campaign being 3 hours. It's not literally. I assume if there's like 3-hour playthrough videos, that's probably like all the cutscenes condensed or like fast forwarding through all the bits where you're flying through space or where you missed the instructions on how to space drift and how to do it like 3 times. That was me, by the way. It took me a second. They didn't quite get me on the first try. I had to go into the controls and actually be like, oh, okay, hold boost while boosting and turn sharp to drift. But yeah, so my initial thoughts are very positive. For a $40 experience, which really seems like it seems a lot like a pump and dump. It's just, I've only played story so far. I won't play any more story until Tuesday, my usual stream date, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will probably play some multiplayer to see what that's like, but I haven't yet. Today I was focused on some other stuff, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
But just from playing single player, and I've only had an opportunity to play a few different missions. I got about 4 missions done in the tutorial. The tutorial segment is actually quite long because it's basically a tutorial for both Rebels and Imperials. Like, you start on the Imperial side, and then you switch to the Rebel side for the tutorial, and then you play as Rebels for a good, long, decent, chunkier starting missions. I think it's the first 3 or 4 are straight up Rebels missions. But you get to try out a few different ships in there. You get to try out some stuff, so... and obviously, I'm sure we'll do more in the future, because I'm sure they... considering that it's actually, like, mandatory, you have to do the tutorial missions before you can even go to multiplayer and access the main menu. Great feature. I actually seriously appreciate that, where they're like, oh, no. You cannot dive right into this game yet, son. You gotta actually start the thing. And start by customizing your campaign character. And then after you complete both tutorials, you can be like, okay, take me to the main menu immediately or continue the story, which I just continue the story on stream. But yeah, so controls are very responsive, feel very natural. Like, I haven't had a lot of problems where I've accidentally done anything I didn't mean to. Like sometimes in the heat of the moment, you can get confused about your up and down, or like, oh, I accidentally hit the roll control instead of the right stick to sidle control, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll realize that in the power of full 3D flight, I'm like upside down and crossways relative to everybody else's plane of reference. Hold on, let me level out. But that's just how it is in a space dogfight. Sometimes you realize that you're like, I'm like 4 kinds of upside down right now. Just fix.
3D movement is wild.
But it's like I said, it's very responsive, and you can make it more responsive. It has so I'm not really a super like nostalgia guy about a lot of those old flight sims. I've played a few, but I'm familiar with the mechanics. This is very much in that style. Like literally, you have a power distribution mechanic, which is hard coded into the game. It's not specific, like you cannot go like, okay, I want 1 less dot in shields, but 1 more dot in laser. At least so far. And I can see why, though, because that would be, like, really, really micromanaging.
Mm-hmm.
But this is at least, like, you can go balanced power, if you're in a shielded ship, which, again, by the way, if you're one of those people complaining about, the fucking verisimilitude or whatever, Imperial ships don't have shields. Trust me, I know. I was in a time mission for a while, and boy howdy did I have to use way more of my repair item. I was way, way closer to dying all the time in the TIE Fighter mission.
Thanks, Shin. By the way, Lucky loves Shin, by the way.
Shin is great. So we'll talk about story in a second, but you get quirky pilots that are your wingmen in all of them, in both sides of this story, so I want to talk about those characters a little too, because we did get introduced to everybody. But yes, no, I was heavily reliant on my AI teammates flying the TIE Reaper, which was Shen, his resupply, and slamming that repair button. But yeah, so you can only pick between weapons or speed, weapons or engines in a TIE fighter. If you're in an X-Wing, you can switch between engines, weapons, or shields. I think the TIE fighter is slightly faster and more maneuverable by default, as a response, like you're a little dodgier. The only thing that's not really super harked on is you can still equip munitions in anything, basically, but that was also another one of those loose things. That was always something that occasionally, like, vanilla TIE fighters could do, is they could actually have ordnance launchers added, if you needed them. Like, the fact that the vanilla TIE fighter is extremely, well, vanilla, it's extremely, no frills, was intentional, but you're, an ace pilot in Titan Squadron or whatever, they can always slip you a little something. Also, so far, I've only played, like I said, a few ships, but all of them do feel distinctly different. They put you in an A-Wing for, like, the 3rd Rebel campaign mission, and it feels drastically different, especially as that's when you get to start customizing your loadout, so you can start fine-tuning all your components. And, no, it's, when you slam that baby over to speed mode, and you start accelerating, boy, howdy, do you do the boom and zoom. You will go fast.
You are a bubble strapped to a missile, basically.
Yeah, nope. That's actually a nickname for the A-Wing, the missile with a man in it. It's fast. It's also when they do teach you how to space drift. And I'll kind of want to see what they do when inevitably they force you, obviously, in the campaign to play bomber or support. We'll get a chance to look at that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Basic controls, very fun. I like it a lot. It's locked to the cockpit view, which is very immersive. Your HUD, for the most part, is all in your cockpit display.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does mean that for purposes of piloting, your hitbox is actually shrunk down a little. Like, I haven't done a lot of, like, clipping my imaginary wings on things. I have bumped into a few things. The game, at least, is nicer about that than some other flight sims I've played. You can, I haven't, like, thumbed up the throttle to full and just slammed head on into an object. But if you turn a little too tight and you bonk something, you usually just take a little bit of hull damage. It's not like, oh, you died. I have died a few times. Mostly that was just, I think
bomb rushing big ships.
Yeah, my biggest deaths I think I've seen have been usually because the game is very finicky about when you cross the T of cap ships and just,
they light you up.
Yeah, in the tutorial you have to do like a dashing run against a Star Destroyer to disable their targeting systems, and the first time I did that I was a little too, I got a little too fancy pants and just, I got ate up.
If I remember correctly, Frisk was like, we don't want to do that. And you're like, Frisk, did you forget to bring your balls? And then you died immediately. And so I'm just all like, apparently you brought too much balls.
No, that wasn't Frisk. That was just a Rando and Echo squad. But I was like, all right, Echo 2. You get back your balls in your flight suit. Get out of my way. And then I immediately got shut up by a Star Destroyer because that is what happens. So I'm going to talk about character customization. I don't know about like pilot stuff. Like I'm a little sad, but I assume it makes sense for like modeling and stuff. You can only be human by default in the campaign. But if you are interested in that sort of stuff, it's got a very remarkably free-range character customization for your campaign character. You can enter your own name. They just call you by your call sign otherwise. You get to... And this is probably actually a lot like what Cyberpunk's going to do later this year, because you get an assortment of heads and voices and bodies, and the game doesn't care what combo you do. You can have a male face on a female body with whatever voice pack you want. They have male and female sets for several of their different archetypes, which are different between Rebel and Imperial. You can, stick a female head on a male body, whatever. I will say, like a lot of semi-photorealistic stuff, and I don't know, maybe it's because they're the player model. The player models for most of the faces look a little doofy for everybody. Mm-hmm. I think some of the face capture on the campaign members is a little bit better. That's probably because they have a dedicated actor who's doing the performance, motion capture and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I had a little bit of a time picking between all the faces, but I went for stern ace pilot with the Imperials, a lady with a bun, which is incredibly funny. When I got to the later campaign, I ran into one of my squad mates, Gray, who is a male TIE pilot, but has the exact same bun going on. Fits in the helmet perfect.
Bun squad.
Though I gotta say, probably because by that time it's post-Endor, but man, Imperial TIE pilots do not have very strict hair regs. As I like to call out everybody. Like, I bump into, fucking Von Reg, and she's got the shaved sides forward hair sweep thing. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what that's called. And I'm just like, you seem like a real hard-ass. Is your hairstyle allowed, Chief? Are you allowed to do that? I guess it fits in the helmet. That's all that matters. And then for Rebel Pilot, I went for a very androgynous-faced lady. I thought about doing Rookie, but I decided to do Gambler. And I get very southern when I speak as a pilot. It's probably the good old farmy time. So yeah, it's got a lot of good customization. I've skimmed the customization you can do later, through unlocks and stuff. And all that matters to me is they have the paint scheme I want, so it's great. Also, they have multiple Ewok jokes, which I love. You can not only get the Ewok bobblehead, but you can paint an Ewok icon on your fighter as your squadron icon. It doesn't directly reference Wraith Squadron, but it does reference a Valiant Ewok. And I love it because that's an old joke from the now Legend series, Wraith Squadron, where they're a bunch of misfit squadroneers behind enemy lines, doing weird, impossible missions and stuff. And at one point, they prank their commander, Wedge, who does show up as a cameo for a little bit of a mission there, by pretending they're recruiting an Ewok pilot, and then they throw an Ewok at somebody, Yub Nub Commander. And later they turn it into part of their ethos when they're undercover as a pirate squadron. One of them's an Ewok with prosthetic limbs who can fly a ship, as his fake cover identity. It's great. So I'm just I appreciate this. I'm sure the guys who made this, they read those books probably. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of old school Wraith or Rogue Squadron vibes. When Wedge Antilles rolls up to you, he immediately asks you to do something fucking stupid and impossible. Hey, so we've disabled an Imperial Star Destroyer, and I'm going to need you and your 4 friends to join me to sneak up behind it and blow a hole in it so we can board it and steal it. And you're just like, okay, boss. You're the captain. Well, you're not my captain, but my captain says it's okay. Stuff like that. And, yes, it does have the classic Imperial Defector thing. I know some people complain about that all the time. But unlike, say, with Battlefront 2, where that happens at the halfway point, and it's just kind of weird, because Aiden doesn't really grow a conscience for any real reason. It's just we don't explore characters in this story because it's a vehicle for exploring all our mechanics and shit So that's why you always have to play as all the heroes all the time. No, I'm not super bitter about the gameplay of Battlefront 2's campaign or nothing. That's a lie, by the way. I am slightly. I've talked about it before, but my most annoying thing is the fact that it takes a surprising amount of time, and they still shenanigans you by forcing you to play as like Han Solo, Luke, and Leia for certain sections as to teach you how to play heroes. And I'm just like, okay, but why though? This doesn't help you with the fact that you already have these shitty cardboard cutout characters, other than my boy Shriv, the best Duros. Again, internet, just look up some Shriv compilations. He's great. I'll give them a pass on the Lando mission because that's just Lando and Shriv hanging out doing dumb shit. I love it. But yeah, no, in general, they compound the fact that they don't have a lot of character deep dives and exploration of characters with the fact that you have to play heroes all the time, and it's annoying. Anyway, what I was getting at, though, was that with Squadrons, right away, when you meet the captain, literally, Lucky starts sussing this guy. Lucky's in chat, he starts sussing the guy immediately. He's like, and I'm like, And yeah, no, guess what? The tutorial is set immediately after Alderaan, and you have to find a boat full of refugees who are branded as traitors and blow them the fuck up. And the captain's like, I don't think I want to do this. I guess I'm defecting. And that's what he does. And then he shows up as the rebel commander character later. Because it also gives the Imperial commander character the pathos she needs to be really angry at rebels and be relevant later.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that she remembers how good you were and pulls you out of your shithole assignment in the post-Endor world to be like, hey, you're a Titan Squadron now. I love this comparison. People were talking about tropes a lot in chat. The what your pilot is doing post-tutorial is the rebel pilot has been assigned, basically, it sounds like a cushy desk job, and your old pal, the captain, Captain Javis, is like, no, I need you to do some pilot shit. You don't want to be stuck behind a desk, right? And you're just like, no. Let's go do dumb, dangerous things.
Put me in, coach!
And then with the Imperial, after your former commanding officer, who you worked under with for like one mission, you're the new guy on that squad in the tutorial, is you get assigned to the Outer Rim. So basically you get assigned to you do the equivalent of being reassigned to Siberia or Antarctica, and only get let out of the doghouse after the mass decapitation of Imperial leadership at Endor, and suddenly we need every officer and pilot we can find, so guess what? You can come back, and one of your old wingmates is like, hey, I'm a captain now. I was an LT. It's been like 4 years. I'm the captain now, and I want you back in my squad. And you're like, sure, okay. We'll do crimes. But yeah, overall, the story is very good. They've done a very good job of giving you, we talked about this, you've got your quirky squad mates who cover all your bases and stuff. The AI is pretty competent, especially once the game taught me how to do squad commands. Very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't talk about it, but during the time mission, for instance, which is after a lot of these tutorials, I was doing a lot of double tap X to target the enemy targeting me, press triangle to tell my wingmates to get rid of him, to just get those guys off my back. Because depending on what you, I think the AI will usually go for objectives.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they totally did, because I remember you were shooting down fighters, and your squads literally like demolished all the. What was the other thing that you had? It was like ties, and it was like maybe like some. It was like some slightly bigger ship, but it was a mission objective.
There are a couple of pocket capital ships or transports that are mission objectives, and sometimes there's like two, and your AI buddies will totally body them. Like, oh, this guy's like half dead. I guess Frisk has just been dumping torpedoes into it or something. Or you'll be cruising along, and once they unlock ion munitions, you'll see just enemy fighters just suddenly get ionized and be like easy pickings. And you're like, oh, hey, thanks, buddy. So the AI is pretty competent. So you have a few. You got a few in every squad who do your memberships. So in Vanguard Squadron, the Rebel Squad, there's you, obviously, your character. You have the cute mechanic. She wears goggles. She's great. She says she'll hook me up with whatever. I don't know what the fuck her accent is, but she's great. Always telling me about stuff she can do. And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna need bombs. I'm gonna need more ordnance. Your flight leader is just called Gunny. And she is a member of the race from the planet Mimban, which showed up very briefly in Solo. And she tells some stories about that. She's that grizzled old vet. She's literally got a robot arm, got a robot hand. And she's there to tell you about her war stories. And she's her call sign is Gunny basically, but I think she should just be called Granny.
Yeah,
because she flies the U-wing, so she's your support, so she's always giving you repairs and ammo and stuff and looking out for everybody. She's the boss. Then there's Grace, whose last name is actually Sinar, which is the name of the corporation that builds TIE fighters, so she's like, yeah, my family builds TIE fighters, I'm a pilot now. She's kind of the no-nonsense second-in-command to Gunny. Seems very strict, very refined. She also flies an X-Wing. You start flying an X-Wing. And then when they forced me to take an A-Wing, I was... not that it was a bad experience, but I was definitely like, excuse me, honey, where is my X-Wing? Leading to many jokes in chat. There's another A-Wing pilot, Kyo. And I believe it said that technically Kyo should be referred to as they or them, which I could see.
Whatever, they're force sensitive. They keep hammering that.
Yes. Kyo is a Moralian, and they keep talking about their weird hunches and feelings, and I'm just immediately like giving Kyo side eye, like, you talked to a guy dresses in all black, has a laser sword lately, talking about rebuilding his order or anything? Nope.
Did I just hear a force sting?
Yeah, did we do the little? Yeah, because there's a very distinct musical cue. So it's no, but Q used to be a professional racing pilot, so obviously they fly an A-Wing and they go fast. No commenting about smoking grass or eating ass though. And then there's your boy Frisk, who is an albino Trandoshan. He used to be a criminal, but then he got a death mark. He sold a fake painting to an Imperial governor who showed it to Grand Admiral Thrawn, which means that he was immediately given the death mark in all the systems.
If I remember,
Thrawn is a big nerd about art.
Yeah. I know that.
He studies art as like a way to understand his enemy's culture and how to destroy them. And also just he studies people's art as like a way to like figure out their psychology. So, and no, in Rebels, this is another thing I want to comment about. The story is very much, I joked about it, very much like, hey, you guys remember the thing? Like, not like classic, do you remember the thing, like classic Star Wars nostalgia. There is a mission set around Yavin, which is super cool looking. But there are a lot of little like pokes and prods and nods to things like Rebels, like Solo, like the novel Alphabet Squadron, which I haven't read yet, but is apparently a very similar setup because it's a bunch of misfit pilots and different fighter types working together. Gunny calls them clowns, basically. But it has a lot of these little moments like, hey, do you remember? And I'm like, I remember. But yeah, at one point in Rebels, like another Imperial officer like sass talks Thrawn about art, and Thrawn just picks up a piece of artwork and clubs him with it. Like, he will not take your shit. But yeah, so Frisk flies a Y-Wing. He must do it with some pride, because when you call in some bombers, he's like, fuck yeah, Y-Wings. Frisk is usually our source of comedy. He's our comic relief pilot. He's constantly the butt of jokes, but that's okay, because it's Frisk's own fault, because he's always the sassy one. He's always asking questions, wondering about stuff. He's like, gee, Grace, should we... I can't even do my lizard voice right now. But should we really go and, like, fight all these guys and do the thing? And you're like, shut up, Frisk. You're buying drinks later. We always make Frisk buy the drinks. This is a joke I had. I'm literally the newbie in the squad. They're already giving me shit. What do we do when we get back to our carrier? Gunny says Frisk's buying the drinks. And I'm like, wow. Our power dynamic has really changed immediately. I don't have to buy the drinks, and I'm the new guy. And then on the Imperial side, you meet another handful. Your team leader is Gray. He has a man bun. He seems pretty normal. We mentioned Shen. He's the TIE Reaper pilot, so he's your support pilot. He wears his helmet all the time and speaks with a slightly robot voice. He's very edgy. Enemies can't catch you if you're covered in edges.
Yeah, he's playing, like, as a testament to TIE fighters and durability, he talks about how he's crashed, like, so many friggin' times, and his mentality is to fight, crash, get up, fight again, repeat. And it's just like... Yeah,
he says that he's been through, like, 5 or 6 crash landings. He's, full of cybernetics, which is why he doesn't remove his helmet, which is literally battle-scarred. Like, he just never takes his gear off, and he's clearly got some, cybernetic replacements and stuff. There's... God, I don't even remember her name. But there's another snooty girl in the Imperial who's like, my parents were senators. If the Emperor had never disbanded the Senate, not that I would ever say he did anything bad, but this would not have happened. And I'm just like, okay. And then there's Vonreg, who, she's got scars, and she just has a huge murder boner all the time.
I'm pretty sure she and the captain have lesbian hate sex.
She's like, sure. Oh boy, here I go killing again. Also, I'm pretty sure she's gonna make it because that's another Do You Remember about the canceled after 2 seasons because I guess nobody watched it on Disney XD or whatever. Star Wars Resistance. It's almost like the sequel period was a mistake. Anyway, I kid. It's about Starfighter. Some of it was good, but some of it was not good. But there's a First Order pilot all in red with a big scary red TIE fighter, whose name is like Baron Vonreg or something. So I'm clearly like, okay, so this is clearly like his auntie or his mommy or something. So she's gonna make it. She's gonna be fine. Great. Perfect. The voice pack I picked wasn't intended to be, but my Imperial pilot sounds very tsundere. Like, yeah, she's very, funny. Like, she'll yell at them, like, destroy that! And then when they blow it up and they're like, hey, saved your ass, she's like, didn't it need saving? Thank you very much. And me internally, Omega, sitting here streaming is like, I definitely needed saving.
Like, Shen, save me!
Shen, please! I can't repair for another, 3 seconds. Oh my god, they're gonna kill me. There's, 4 A-Wings on my butt. Because again, this was my first mission back as Imperials again. I'm flying a vanilla-ass TIE fighter. I was able to do a little bit of customization, but there's not a super variety of options left, so I'm just like, I'm flying a vanilla TIE fighter here, there's not much I can do. I've got countermeasures for missiles, but that doesn't help me when there's 50 dudes behind me. I'm pretty sure the strat you're supposed to do if you've got somebody on your tail is other than the classic, because you do have an option to target the character targeting you, and you can then tell your allies to attack something or defend something. But that's what I think the drift is for, because the drift basically allows you to do super tight turns, change your direction without losing any of your momentum. So you gotta you either gotta do maybe do the Top Gun thing and try and let them overshoot, because you have a very, very good throttle control. And actually, honestly, I usually play at about 50% throttle because the game literally tells you if you're at 50 or below throttle, you get increased maneuverability, makes tighter turns. Mm-hmm. And also, hey, guess what? Because you're in spaceships, you can slam that throttle to 0 and you can hover. You can pop a repulsor and you can pivot in space without going anywhere, basically. So you can full-blown space brake. I love it. But I think the drift is so you can you go super fast, you boost around, you swing around, and you get in a head-on, which I gotta say, in a TIE fighter, not the best. As an X-Wing, though, I totally head on some guys. I was like, my shields will protect me. And you can do the classic thing, you can tap a command, and you can do shields double front or shields double back. Which I have done. You can also put power in shields so you get better shields. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. I'm excited to continue playing it. It was immediately worth my $40. It's exactly what I wanted out of it. And actually, honestly, I know they said they don't have a lot of long-term development plans, but from what I've seen already, I'm like, gosh, I hope there's maybe a sequel that they decide to do an upgrade pack or something if this does well. Because I think it will, because I think ultimately the gameplay is really good and the plot's not offensive or anything so far. I think it'll be fine. It's got a lot of nods and a lot of classic old school stylings. And it's not the worstest or anything, but yeah, I'm because I already yelled because I realized that in the tutorial the Imperial captain who defects is flying a TIE Advanced prototype. He's flying a ship you can't fly in this game, and I'm like, that's weird. They built a model and everything for that, which obviously is a whole thing, right? Also, game looks beautiful. Great detail on all the models. You see a lot of familiar faces. I have ridden on and blown up more than a few Gozantis, Arc-10's cruisers, there's some CR-90 Corvettes. Got some very highly detailed models of the ISD. A very nice high-res modeling of the Starhawk battlecruisers, which is a big plot point, the building of those. But all in all, a very fun game. I'm excited to play more. Tune into the streams and consider, like I said, going to super chat or something, because boy howdy. I've done a couple of things, but if Disney comes back for a second round, I'm not gonna just keep muting everything in the video. So if they keep trying, they're eventually gonna win that fight, because I'm not gonna want to fuck up the video quality that much. yeah, it's a great little game. Let's see, that was about half an hour. That seems good.
Yeah, that seems good. All right. Let's see.
So there was another big thing that got released this week.
Yeah, Lucky's playing it right now.
We want to dive right in. Oh, well, it makes sense. You got me excited talking about Squadrons. I forgot to open up Azure Lane because I was literally waiting to do the show until I decided to get some stuff in with that. It's very time efficient. But yeah, let's not talk about that.
Well, it's technically still a gacha game. Technically,
it is. It's very weird for it, though.
Yes.
So let's talk. Let's stop dancing around it. Let's talk about Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
So you got on this first. I was mildly interested when I learned it was because I think you were talking about it coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But it hadn't actually come out, so I was like, oh, it's on PS4. I'll check that out. And then actually, I didn't get into it right away, but actually seeing some of the community members like really go for it and play it, I got kind of interested in it. So you were on this bandwagon before me.
Yeah.
And obviously you're much further than me.
Yeah. I think I'm probably further than most people in this.
I mean, I literally stopped playing to do this a while ago, so I can tell everybody I'm adventurer level 8 right now.
Lucky is adventurer level 25 now. But Genshin Impact came out this week. It's done by MiHoYo, which is a Chinese company. Did they do Honkai Impact?
I believe so.
I believe so, yeah. But
it definitely feels like something that's in like a universe or a franchise.
Yeah. Where am I going? Oh yeah, I'm just climbing mountains. So
as you do.
If I was to put this into a genre, I would put this as an action RPG.
Oh, very much so.
Yes. Basically, you at the beginning of the game, you get a character. You can basically pick between Angel Boy or Angel Girl.
Yes, correct. They do the classic move. They're like, all right, pick a twin. Yes. They're identical, but one is boy and one is girl. But also, they're not really that different.
No. Oh, I made it to the top of the mountain. Shit happens. Really cute goddess. Give her to me in Gacha, please. Kicks your ass and kidnaps your other
cubes.
Yep, cubes, and you get yeeted to a world.
By the way, when I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be our summoning mechanic is the cubes," but it's not really.
Nope,
it's weird. But
it is weird. And then you get sent to a world where you do a little bit of a flashback and you meet your
emergency food.
Emergency food. Also,
who hasn't picked that option? No, actually, not to take you off that too much, but I do love the dialogue choices in this game because they reflect something you've talked about with FGO, where you've got class and sass, basically. Like you say, you can usually pick a normal option, and then you could be incredibly anime about it, either as a joke or like being a tryhard or something.
Oh no, what you need to do, Omega, is when you get the chance, go into the profile, go to the main character's voiceover. It doesn't actually have voiceovers, but it has conversations between the main character and Paimon about everything, and it's great.
Oh, that's pretty good. I have seen them, but that's just mostly to get rid of my my notifiers.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find a one that makes me. A lot of these have made me laugh just reading them. I definitely remember where one of the conversations I had, it was the alchemist. It was all like, I was asking, what can you do with alchemy? Can I make another Paimon? And Paimon's just like, what the fuck? And it's like, yes, I was ornaments so I can have multiple Paimon. And it's like, why are you not normal? Because Paimon is simultaneously your straight man and your
Well, Paimon is your classic anime, even though this is made by, as people like to keep saying, this is made by Chinese people. Paimon is your classic fucking anime mascot character.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's small, she can't fight for anything, at least as far as I've seen, but she will offer you helpful advice, she'll guide you to stuff. If you're being goofy, usually you're being goofy at her expense. But also she does random stuff like flag you down when you're walking through town and be like, oh my god, the meal shop has appeared. Buy me some fucking fisherman's toast, you nerd. And I'm like, alright, fine, Paimon. It's a quest, so I'll do it.
Yeah, but basically, you're stuck in this world for some odd reason. People in this world have things called visions, which let them have powers. And because you don't come from this world, you can just fucking get blessings to have different powers. You start off with a wind one, which I really like. It's fun. Because basically what you have is you have your basic attacks, you have a charge attack.
Well, this goes back to your, like you said, the action RPG. There's
Yeah.
a basic attack button, you can charge the button. Shoot, I forget the... R2 does, is it element burst? Is what it's called? You have an elemental type attack, which you can hold
I think
and charge.
It's like elemental skill, and then like another one's an elemental burst.
And then you have your triangle, which is basically your ult.
Yes. Now, you said you're not the only character you get. Actually, this game's very nice. It gives you several characters at the beginning.
Yeah, they give you a decent spread.
You get Amber, who is a pyro archer. She is a fucking rabbit.
Yes, correct.
It's actually great. If one of her idle animations is her ribbon twitches and she starts looking around, I'm just like,
She's also a speedrunner with heals. Got the whole thing. She summons a bunny plushie that explodes as her special elemental attack. Well, as one of hers, because she's a... This is another interesting thing. Some characters are apparently what they call like free shooting. So you can basically do ADS with them and then do an attack. So far, I've only encountered Amber as an archer, but I'm guessing there are obviously other archers and possibly other ranged characters like that.
Yes. Lisa technically is another ranged one. She's a magic user. She shoots lightning, real lightning.
Because there's 6 elements or more.
I want to say 6.
You got your basics. You got your wind. You got fire, and they all have special names. You've got earth, and you've got fire, and then there's also cryo. There's ice and thunder, at least on top of that I've seen. Yeah,
I think there's also dendro, which is like plant-based, but I haven't actually run into any characters who've used that.
I've seen enemies doing that, so I could see that as like a 7th. There are multiple symbols, but yeah, it's got the usual RPG-ass magic system.
But
well, you're about to bring it up. Go for it.
The thing I like about the interesting thing about this elemental system is if you combine elemental systems, you get different effects. Like,
the obvious one they teach you when you get Lisa, because you basically get those as like an extended tutorial, is trying out different character archetypes, right?
Yeah,
and different elements. Like you get a cryo swordsman whose name escapes me at the moment, even though he's a cool guy. He has an eye patch. Okay, that's right. So they let you understand properties. So the obvious one is when you get Lisa, you're in a dungeon with water, and it's like, if you use electro powers on wet enemies, they get blasted, and you're like, cool, I'll do it. That's what I was going to say, is that I think almost everything has an elemental interaction in some form. Like, even if it means that they get, like, negated, like, if you mix water and fire, you get vaporized and just, they cancel out. But there's, like, I think there's an elemental interaction for everything, which I'm like, neat. I'm totally going to forget some of this stuff, but neat.
Well, I guess some of them you pick up, like, a lot of the times when I'm fighting, like, an ice character, I whip out Amber, especially if they have, like, an ice armor on. It's like, no, get that out of here.
Yeah, I fought I think he was he a Hydro or a Cryo Mage? He might have been Hydro. I think he was Hydro. But he had, like, a water bubble shield, so I was like, wait, doesn't fire and water cancel out? And it does. It does, actually. You do extra damage and can pop a little bubbly thing that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. Like I like mixing and matching elements, because usually, especially with the main character's wind element, it's really cool. Wind doesn't seem to actually do too much on its own, but it's good for amplifying other powers. So, like, if you can get like,
I feel like wind is almost like a kind of like a default neutral element in this, because there's a lot, at least in this first area we're in, this island area, there's a lot of the Four Winds temples, the statues or shrines or whatever to the Anemoi, which, by the way, that's the Greek, that's the gods of the winds, the Anemoi. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's a lot of wind themes. Also, you can glide.
Gliding is fun. Like I said, a lot of people have been talking about this, how it's, this feels like a Breath of the Wild clone, and I'm not one to fully, like, dissuade that opinion.
Cool. Because I wouldn't call it necessarily a clone, per se, because there are definitely some distinct elements, right, to the way that you make, like, a Legend of Zelda type game.
Yeah.
That this doesn't have a lot of those things. It definitely feels like the gameplay style was inspired by Breath of the Wild, though, because, well, it's got a lot of, like, classic, I know it's not strictly a JRPG, but JRPG-styled tropes, right? They got anime-ass characters and anime-ass cutscenes, and stuff like that. But there, you right away you get a glider to glide from high places. It has a stamina bar where you can sprint. Took me a second to figure that one out, but I did. I was just pushing buttons and accidentally sprinted, and it was like, There's sprint. You can climb anything, I think, which reduces your stamina bar. You pray at shrines to increase stamina. I'm playing a match game right now, and I'm really fucking it up because I can't brain while we do this.
You carry around ingredients to cook meals.
Yeah, you can cook, which is your main source of healing.
I do enjoy that, actually.
So much so that actually this is a thing. Unlike, say, Skyrim or Legend of Zelda, you cannot have Link just eat 50 apples. Your characters will get full, so you have to, like, measure out your responses.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, swimming takes stamina, so you can basically drown if you're not careful. And in general, you mentioned it before earlier when talking about what you were doing, there's a shitload of exploration themes to the game. That's like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, literally, you cannot do certain quests until your adventurer level is increased, and they're like, here's how you do it. Go out, find teleport stones and shrines and stuff, and do things. And I'm like, neat.
Yeah, no, just literally it says, like, do quests, like I think it's specifically, like, unlock chests, do challenges, you know, stuff like that. Go explore. And honestly, exploring is actually very satisfying, I would say. Like, usually if you, like, just go off in directions, start climbing mountains, you'll find something. You'll find, like, a little puzzle. You might find, like, a treasure chest encased in rock, like Lucky has literally just done. Now I have to beat it with my sword until I can break off the rock. Sometimes you might find something a little fucking weird, like, and the beginning, well, not the beginning area, and the first, continent, I guess I want to say. I was exploring around, and then I just see a giant fucking purple orb floating in the sky. I'm just like, what the fuck is that? And, like, there's a little puzzle to, like, get everything to unlock it, and I'm just all like, I get it, and I got an achievement. It was just, like, warp speed or something. And it took me to another island where there's a dungeon unlocked. I was like, oh, okay, so this is how I get here. Because, sometimes sometimes getting to a location is half the fucking puzzle. Case in point, in the beginning area, there's an island that you normally cannot, swim to. And gliding takes fucking effort. I think you need over 200 stamina to actually glide there, which is a number you're probably not going to get until you're probably in the 20s of your adventurer's rank.
Yeah, because you, as far as I've seen, it's just you go to the anime shrines and offer them gubs to get more stamina.
Yep. Like some of the dungeons or shrines, I'm not exactly sure what to call them, but like how Breath of the Wild had their.
So there are, I believe the like statues outside are like supposed to be the shrines, and then if I remember seeing what they've called it is just any area you go into that's basically a dungeon is called a domain.
Yeah, domain. That's what it's called.
So yeah, those are instance areas where you like go inside and do a thing.
Yeah, they usually don't take too long. It's usually like a few rooms of monsters, or just sometimes it's literally just a single room when you fight fucking monsters. Oh man, do I need a fucking rock to grab that one? Wait, there's a treasure chest though. It's a ship. No, this is what like he's talking about how it's easy to get distracted. I can just climb to the top of the mountain and I see a ship. I'm like, I want it. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay, never mind. I just needed to activate this. Yay, I got it. Shoot, what was I talking about?
Exploring, going in domains and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, it's kind of like, it's not quite, but it's kind of like, the fucking, shrines in Breath of the Wild. Like I said, where would, oh shit, went off the cliff. Where it's something that you did, obviously we talk about that definitely differs, is you usually have a roster of characters and weapons to choose from, and they don't fucking break. Heck.
Yes.
This is where the gacha element of the game comes into play.
And, fair warning, this is an FGO-styled gacha. If you roll it, you will get a lot of, like, 5 copies of the same sword, and, like, 1 character. It'll happen.
Yeah. And it has some pretty bad rates. I believe the 5-star rate is 0.6%.
Oof. A deep cut.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, it seems like there's only 4, the only levels are 4-star and 5-star characters. I have not seen a 3-star character yet.
Yeah, maybe that's a special thing.
Yeah, but, yeah, so, Lucky has he hasn't spent any money on the gacha. He has given this game $20 to buy the Battle Pass, which is basically their daily and weekly quest system. Basically, like every day, you log in, you do some quest things, you get points, it goes to your Battle Pass. When your Battle Pass hits a certain point, it rolls over, you get a reward. If you have the what they fucking call it. What they call it. They called it... Let me open it up here. Oh, yes, the Gnostic Hymn. If you have that unlocked, you get, like, additional rewards and boosts and stuff. And, like, and apparently it's supposed to last for, like, until the end of the beta pass, which, if I'm looking at this right, is, like, 40 days from now. So I'm like, $20 for, like, 40 days. I'm like, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. My only personal thought is that I don't know if I'd log in every day.
Yeah. I guess I'm pretty taken with this game, so
I like it, but at the same time, it was not enough for me to go, okay, I want to make sure I'm doing it every day or whatever, rather than work on other stuff that we will talk about later. But yeah, but also, like I said, the core gameplay is very fun. I like it a lot because it's got that, like we said, it's got playing it on PS4, I understand, obviously, I think it's a little limited on your phones or tablets or whatever. I really can't imagine it playing it that way, though. Like, well, yeah, it does have that very Gacha game-esque, like, 5 billion menus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you push the main button, you open up, and they got, like, 50 different tabs you can go into. It's like an MMO almost, with, like, you got Chivos, quests, character, which is not characters. Achievements are not quests, etc., etc. All that stuff. Which is not your adventuring guide challenges, etc. It's got all the usual gacha game style menus and stuff, but like actually like running around and doing stuff, I'm just like, man, I really cannot imagine doing this in mobile. How do you do it? Is it like fake? Is that like virtual controller stuff? Is it all button prompts?
I played a little bit on mobile because I was like, Lucky was actually trying to say what platform he wanted to play it on. It's actually not as bad on mobile as you would think. But I would definitely say it's still not the easiest.
Well, and also the game is fucking enormous.
It is. It's huge.
It's like 9 gigs. I don't think my vanilla phone would even take that. Like I think my phone has like 16 gigs of space, 8 of which is the system because it's a liar.
Yeah.
Phones liars. But we've had that conversation before. Also, I'm pretty sure it eats your batteries like snack cakes. But yeah, so I'm playing on PS4. Also, actually, I should talk about this, because this was apparently a concern, because I heard it from other people, not from our group, which was weird. But if you have heard that Genshin Impact is Chinese spyware, it's not, probably.
Probably.
Yes, there was apparently an instance where it did not close properly before, like if you were on a version, it would not completely close in the background, and it apparently was like getting like kernel access to your system. That was apparently an extension of their anti-cheating or anti-piracy software to make sure there were no illegitimate instances of the game, which for gacha-style games is actually a really high priority for them. They really don't like when you do that.
Yes.
But apparently their like anti-cheat stuff was too spicy. They clarified what it was. They've apparently patched it so it does close properly. I haven't heard any complaints since then, since they said what it was and patched it. And as far as they say anyway, as much as you can trust anybody, your data wasn't being, like, uploaded or stored anywhere, it was just being screened. And they realized that, like, oh, whoops, this was a little too intensive, we'll dial it back.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I am resisting real heavily to actually spend money on the gacha. Like, I've been throwing whatever I have at the, what I collect, because you collect I guess, well, it's not really the premium currency, because the premium currency...
This, I will say, another common gacha game problem, there's like 4 different kinds of currency, some of which I don't know what it does yet.
Yeah.
Like, what's the... Shoot, I even forgot. Primogeniture? What's the star-shaped stuff you get for everything?
The star-shaped stuff you can actually spend to buy the things to gacha. You can use the Primogen to gacha. And, like, another other thing.
I don't think the game has taught me how to do that yet, but okay.
No. But the thing that you buy with money can be turned into Primogen at a 1-for-1 conversion.
Mm-hmm. And also, I believe, turned into other stuff.
Yes.
They've got the classic gem style of, like, no, they're shield-shaped, but these are your gems that you buy that you can turn into stuff. I've seen it, and I obviously I haven't bought anything yet, because I'm also slow-rolling, and I have my own economic concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as a couple of pre-orders came due all at the same time, but yeah. I've personally done a couple of roles. They make you do a tutorial one, which I did. Get
Noelle.
Yep, Noelle. Battle Maid.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a second one because they gave me 10 of one of the currency as a reward. Which I have noticed there do appear to be 2 kinds of fate that you can spend depending on the banners.
one like this regular one, which I think is used for like the standard banner. Then there's
the standard banner
for...
and the beginner banner,
yeah.
Which honestly, that's a fair way to do it if you could split it up. And so I spent it on one of the limited banners. I don't think I got any special, like a particularly special character, but I got the she was just mentioned in Gacha games. Which one is it? The Zhengling, Fire Spear. I haven't used her at all, but I got her.
Yeah, the cook.
Oh, is she a cook? Well, I'll have to do that.
Yeah, one of the things that this game likes to do is likes to do intro quest to characters, so you can see a bit of their character.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also you can select which characters can do your crafting sometimes and stuff.
Oh yes.
So like you can say who you do it as. I do appreciate the system they've got going. Also, like when you cook something, you gain proficiency, mm-hmm. and if you max it out, you can auto craft without doing a little mini game to do it perfectly. Which I'm like, okay, yes. I appreciate this. You know, it's a little annoying to maybe go, all right, I'm making like 5 mushroom skewers all at once or whatever. Actually, I think that was it might have been. No, I think it was 5, but it's like whatever. You know, suck it up and just work on it, and then you can autocraft. Ooh, no, that's pancakes. Let's look at that. Hey, I've been switching between my characters a lot because they're very fun.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the point.
Well, yeah, you've got a free-flowing character select menu. You only get a roster of 4 at a time, very classic RPG style, but you can switch pretty fast and be like, okay, oh, I've done, set up elemental combos with yourself, or just be like, oh, there are ranged enemies now? Well, let me get Amber, and then do all that stuff. I'm not that advanced yet, Axe. I don't know anything about nothing. I'm sure I'll figure it out. The game's still teaching me so many things. That is very classic, like, wide open action RPG type shit, right? Where, like, it's like, okay, you're gonna be in this tutorial for, like, 20 hours before we teach you everything kind of shit. But it's fun. So you've been playing it kind of longer. Do you have any particular thoughts or characters or quests you want to, shout out? Because obviously I think overall both of us find the game very positive.
Yeah, it's very positive. I like the characters. A lot. It's fun.
By the way, Omega did the patrician move. He immediately switched it to Japanese audio.
I'm sorry, I did too. I was listening to English.
My only complaint is that in Japanese audio, it lists their names, the VA's names in Japanese characters, so I can't cross-check anything. I'm like, you sound familiar. I have no idea what the fuck that name is.
Well, I can tell you a few of them. The female MC is Aoyuki. Jean is Chiwa Saito. Lisa is Tanaka Rie.
That's what it is. I thought she sounded familiar. I'm like, I know you from somewhere.
Yeah. There's quite a few. Oh, Axe just posted a FGO to Genshin Impact comparison.
Oh. I don't know who half these people are, but I'll look at this list. When Axe was talking about missing the beginning of the talk, he probably missed the bit where I said that I'm only adventuring level 8. Oh my god, what'd you do?
Yeah, so the map's pretty big. Like you can spend a lot of time just wandering and
exploring, basically.
Yeah, exploring. Like I said, there's little nooks and crannies here. You can literally wander into mid boss fights. It actually happened on stream because I streamed it Thursday, and I ran into the Oceanid who attacked me with water ducks, which is slightly terrifying as they just chase you and have like this AoE effect of damage. You're just like, no, get away, and they're just like, whack, 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 whack. I'm like, no.
Oh, and actually, we should talk about the gacha style stuff with the RPG. That just reminded me that this does have a very gacha styled level up. Like, I think you gain a little bit of experience naturally in combat.
Yes, but it's very little.
Yeah, normally you want to do the classic feed them pages, basically. Feed your characters books and they level up.
Yes.
And I haven't leveled anybody up to max, but I've noticed by pushing buttons randomly. This is one thing I will slightly complain about, is while it generally makes sense on controller, there are a few times when I feel like the button mapping isn't necessarily intuitive, like I'm accidentally doing a lot of like, oh, whoops, shoot, didn't want to do that, or do that. Like, like if you go to like, enhance an item and you want to like rank it up with a dupe of it. By the way, this is a good question to ask you for the audience. There's no other way to get rid of excess items, like to like melt them down or sell them or anything. You can only use them as materials to upgrade.
Oh no, you can destroy them. If you destroy weapons, they usually give you weapon enhancement.
Okay.
Weapon enhancement. But
so trash
there is.
But when you do an enhance, like when I rolled and I got like, oh, I've gotten like 4 great swords. Let me turn these into 1 great sword. The like enhance is like, okay, select a material to enhance by pushing this button, then close that menu, then push the actual enhance button. I'm just like, I feel you could have streamlined this, but it's got a lot of that classic gacha touch everything setup, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little finicky with controller, but the actual combat mapping for controller is pretty reasonable.
Oh yeah. Yeah, weapons is also the other aspect of the gacha system. It's basically all weapons and thing. And they do the gacha things that if you get multiple copies of a weapon, you can smack it into another weapon to upgrade its ability up to usually level 5.
Yep. Which also improves all their various levels. Like I technically have like I think the like PS4 bonus is you get like a 4-star sword or something.
Yes. For some reason,
I rolled a lot of 3-star swords and comboed them all together, and now one of my 3-star swords is a higher rank and damage than my 4-star. I'll keep holding on to the 4-star, though, in case I get an extra. But it's got that classic, like, oh, if you combo all your stuff together, you can, do more. Axe mentioned the artifact sets. That's a game feature which is slightly annoying because it won't let you forget that you've got an extra item in a slot, and I'm like, but I didn't want to give this person my 1 traveling doctor's item. I've already given them, like, 2 adventurer items game, but okay, if you're gonna yell at me about open slots.
I've gotten good at ignoring that.
I don't know, I haven't played enough. But yeah, so you have different sets, which, I actually kind of like the system, because you've got 5 slots, right? 5?
Yep, 5. But
and you get bonuses for 2 and for 4, in addition to anything else it does. So you can mix and match 2 sets, or you can go all the way to 4 sets on stuff.
By the way, there are circular items which are considered 1 sets. So you usually get them for defeating mid bosses. They're usually called,
well, that's a good feature. Then I like that.
It's usually called like the tiara of something.
Makes sense. Yeah. That's a good way to handle it. To give some things a 1 set. But yeah, there's as far as I know, there's not too much more like customizing beyond that. You get a weapon. As far as I know, characters seem to be classified 2 ways: what their element is and what their weapon type is. I haven't, as far as I've seen, like you've been able to swap weapon sets for anybody.
You've been able to. I said the only exception I know to this rule is that the main character can swap elements, but he uses a sword.
But like for instance, when you get Amber, she's the first character the game gives you. She is an archer who is fire. That's it.
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Love her to death. She's great, but it's just like, okay, she's locked in.
Well, it's also in the way that it's their element, but like every single one of them plays differently. Like,
well, yeah, everybody has a distinct style. We talked about this before. Like, Amber is free shooting. You can actually like free aim her bow. Which, like Axe is bringing up with puzzles, there are destructible objects. So if you see a pile of hay or a bunch of thorns or a wooden barricade, you can charge up Amber's arrow shot and just shoot it, and it'll burn down or explode or something. Right? Get out of your way. Which obviously, since we've talking about how this game is big in exploration, much like Legend of Zelda, if you blow up shit or smash shit, you will often either find loot or like find little spaces to crawl in to get a chest or something.
Yes.
I know that there are certain little stone things, which usually lead to like little time trials or whatever you can only activate with thunder, which Lisa does. Axe brought this up. Great swords are much better at breaking rocks. Because I got my Noelle, I was definitely like, okay, let's smash some rocks. You can do it with a regular sword user, but great sword is way faster.
Way faster.
And also sometimes great swords are clubs. Who knew? Yes, I have like 2 of those. But yeah, it's fun. I think we got off a tangent about some other stuff though, because you were talking about like any later game stuff you've done. You've encountered some bosses. There's some things some people are talking about with this wolf thing.
Yeah, it's you meet the wolf through a side quest for a character named Razor, who is a precious wolf boy. He has a electric wolf stand that gives him head pats. So I'm like, no, this is the best. I need him. But yeah, so basically, it unlocks a, okay. Well, bye. He survived! Oh, fuck you. Get back here. Sorry, I knocked a fucking, goblin I can't remember how they find it. They're called like Hijichurls or something.
Yeah, Hijichurl.
Hijichurls off a cliff, and I watched him go down, and he took like 400 damage, and he survived. I was like, how dare. But, yeah, so like I said, there's a lot of, like, in explorations, you'll run into, like, mini-bosses. Some of them will be unlocked by doing quests, like a Cryo Regicide, which is this giant iced flower. You will unlock during, what was her name?
I just realized I nodded silently at you, and nobody would have any way of knowing I did that.
Well, that's how we do. But, it's the fire spear cook who I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, I had to go look at her name a second ago. It's very Chinese.
Zhangling. But I am rude.
He's getting bullied right now. I can tell.
I am getting bullied.
Yeah, that'll happen. Because enemies can do the elemental wombos too.
Yes,
and you can get a little bullied.
But I hate these fucking flowers. But during her quest, you have to get to the you have to find like the Curious Register's Vine, and once you complete that quest, you can go back and fight it again. Same with Razor's quest, is you eventually find the wolf and you can fight it. And each of these mid bosses usually have a specific drop that is useful for ascending characters. Like if you fight the actually, what do you get if you fight the Ice Wolf? I forget. I'm not sure. But like with the Regis Cryovine, you'll get like something called like a Hoarfrost core, which is used for ascending ice characters. When you fight the Death Cubes, as people like to call them, they usually drop the elemental equivalent to like whatever is going is. So that's where part of the grinding and farming aspect in this game comes from. It's from fighting mid bosses to get things. Like I said, like Lucky just made Adventurer rank 25. With that, I can ascend my characters to their next star, or their second ascension. I think, what was the first one? Was the first one 10? I can't remember. It was like 10 or 15. But, yeah, because you can only, like, something interesting, you can't just ascend someone to the, like, when you start the game, you can't just take one character, max into the next ascension, and just, go with that. You have to reach certain benches of Adventurer rank before you can get ascensions. Mm.
Yeah, there seems like there's a lot of stuff. Like, right now, I cannot continue the main story until I hit Adventure rank 10.
Yeah, so they don't want you... So, it's kind of weird, but it seems like they don't want you to just, like, hyper-focus on...
Yeah, they don't want you to necessarily blitz story, per se. They want you to actually, like, no, you need to be ready for this stuff. You need to, like, go out and explore.
Explore, play the game, and stuff. And... It's not as difficult as one might think. Some people might be a bit upset at the fact that they have to go play a game.
I mean, it really depends on what you're after. I don't.
Yeah.
We've noted people sometimes play these games differently than we do. I don't really know what purpose you have to be try hard at it. Like I mean, it's technically not like, as far as I know, there's no PvP, but there is co-op. You can invite people to hang out. I haven't done it yet. You got to be a certain adventure level. I don't know if I can do that yet. But there is there is that certain amount of aspect of like interacting with people, and obviously, as we said, as your adventure rank goes up, you get to do more stuff. But I don't really know why you'd want to like cruise through the story. I guess so you can go focus on farming the highest level stuff, but it's not. You might think it's MMO like, right? But that's really just where like gacha style games overlap with that stuff. It's not really like that. Like I'm sure there is like some end game tier shit already, but I don't really know what you'd get by rushing on through to that.
I guess it's just for those types who have to have the biggest and best thing as quick as possible, for whatever reasons.
But anyway, yeah.
Anyway, I think enjoy the journey. But I think that's all I really have to say on it.
I mean, I don't know if it's actually full blown MMOE Dallas. Like, I mean, it's got some similarities, but it's not true. Like the second M of MMO, or the first M technically, is massive. I don't really know if it's like massively multiplayer.
No, it's not. It is literally not massively multiplayer. You can have a max of 4 people in one world. That is not massively multiplayer. Dallas.
Yeah, like it has a co-op style. Like it has some similarities, but also it has just some. It does some normal ass JRPG type stuff. Though it really makes me realize that, well, I know obviously in some games there were, like, loot crates, right? But I'm like, realizing to myself, wow, golly gee, why has nobody tried to do, like, a full-blown gacha-style game as, like, a console or... Like, I know there are PC ports, but usually those are also available on mobile, right? Like, I don't actually know of any other games that are, like, full-blown, have a gacha you can roll, right? Like, has that type of character roster type thing that most gacha games do somehow. And lets you actually, like, go out and roll it. Like, I don't think that's how the Azure Lane Crosswave game works. Like, I know there is character selection, but I don't think it was gacha styled. Like, there are spin-offs of gacha games. A lot of people have a lot to say about Grand Blue Versus, for instance. Stuff like that. But it doesn't seem like anybody's tried that one seriously. Maybe because it would require more startup cost? I don't know. But I'm gonna say, we've said this before, right? I don't think gacha-style games are inherently bad. Like, yeah, they can be kind of exploitative and shitty, but that's just anything can be. I mean, fair enough, but then that means you'd have to buy up front, and that's a different kind of ethos. But yeah, like I said, I'm just surprised that nobody's really seemed to have tried this all-out style, and well, we'll see, because I'm pretty sure when it came out, Genshin Impact was trending on Twitter. Like, it seems like a lot of people are talking about it and thinking about it, and it's doing very popular. So I'm kind of interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, there's already talk about the next update, because basically you get two quote unquote zones at the beginning. You get the wind zone and the earth zone. That dude was wrong. I thought he was just a dude. He's not. He's an enemy.
An enemy dude.
Enemy dude. You basically get the first town of, I will butcher the name, so I won't say it. Mondstadt. There you go. And then the
though I feel like it's pronounced weirder in Japanese.
Probably.
It's a very, I want to say, like, almost like Germanic or Swiss type name. Ah, yes, Mondstadt. Stood on this hill for many generations, with the shrines of the four winds. Definitely had no problems till there was a weird sky dragon that had a mysterious anime girl talking to it.
That's a boy.
Oh, it was a boy? It's hard to tell with the audio. That's the thing. We talked about them being twins, right? Like, the male and female characters don't really look that distinct. So, like with a lot of Japanese anime, I've only seen them in the prologue, so it's hard to tell, like I said. There's, like, you do still have that problem of, like, okay, you're not deeply voiced, so I have no idea whether you're a boy or a girl.
Venti's great, by the way. You'll see more of him later.
Okay, that's cool. But it's just like, hello, strange anime character. That's right, it is wine country. But there's wine country everywhere. I've seen some people already talking about, like, future banner shit and thinking about stuff. I'm going to continue to not do that, much like Arknights. And just play what I play and do what I do.
There are some characters, like, Lucky keeps telling himself, I need to start saving for future characters, but I also want characters now. John, the acting grandmaster, is in the gacha system. I'm like, so give me... Because the best way I can think about her, it's basically Chiwa Saito doing her best to play Artoria, and it's fucking great.
Yeah, very serious voice. She's one of your big supporting characters. And I do find it a little weird that, I mean, I guess it makes sense because she's a big boss, but, like, the first three characters you get are all her subordinates.
Yep.
Those are the free ones. You get Lisa the Librarian, we mentioned her. Amber's kind of a wandering knight, and
Kaya is the cavalry. It's interesting because, actually, reading into the story, Amber and Kaya are both interesting because Amber's an outrider, but she's the last outrider because there's something that is not viewed as something that's not needed anymore. And Kaya is the captain of the cavalry, but there is no cavalry in Mondstadt because the actual Grandmaster, who ran off the fuck somewhere, took all of them in, so he has no one to command, so he's just kind of like meh, hanging around.
That probably explains why they're free to chill with you. Also, yes, Axe has brought up a great point. It is a gacha-style game, but this does have full-blown selection of characters. You can pick as a male character, you can play as male characters, kind of like, well, I think the biggest game that was big with our group for a while that did that would be, like, Fire Emblem Heroes, but yeah, it's like that. Obviously, Grand Blue does that stuff, too. But there's a lot of interesting stuff, and they do have a lot of profile and backstory. Like, there's a lot of world in it, which is good because it's got that big exploration themes. Well, I honestly don't know Tyrannic King Lion if that would be it, but it could definitely be a thing like that could prompt that. They're talking about localizing FGO Arcade. Because that I suppose would be in a similar style to what we're talking about, right? Like that's a full blown gacha style game, but like it's got 3D action, but it's only on arcade machines. Even if, as we brought up on Let's Take FGO this week, apparently some of them are nice enough to have capture cards. That wouldn't fly over in the States, I don't think. One, because of the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, and two, just because of the geography, like point B, subpoint 1 geography. The U.S. is very spread out and very broad, so it's like hard to get a lot of people in concentration, but also section B, subpoint 2, right? It's got the whole like different arcade culture thing going on. Like we don't treat arcades like the Japanese do anymore. There are some import arcades and some stuff like that, but it's a very niche business. It's not as important to run here. I mean, Dallas, you have a good point. Oh, well, also, I mean, though it is developed by Sega, I believe, Sony's still the parent company, they could do that. I don't know if... I think at the moment they don't have any plans for it. Maybe when they get further down the line. Like, theoretically, we're at about the point in NA where JP released Arcade. But I don't know. I could see them trying that, doing it as a console exclusive at least, though obviously I'm pretty sure there's no specialized hardware in FGO Arcade machines. They're just probably like PCs now. It's not that complex. But we're talking about FGO in the middle of What's Up, so let's move on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I don't think I got anything else to really mention about.
No, we spent a good 45 minutes on Genshin. That's pretty good for us.
Go us.
We talked about it. It's going to be one of the things in the title. Since we're on Gacha, do we want to talk about any other games? I am currently farming Azure Lane right now.
Azure Lane
I will say, by the way, I do like the system they have for Eskimo, because I can bring Warspite, who's one of my highest leveled units, to get bonus currency.
Oh, that's good. I'm honestly probably going to just skip the Eskimo event. I'm just like, nah.
I mean, she's in light construction. You could throw like a 10 or 20 of cubes after her and see what happens.
No. I gotta save cubes. I'm down.
Do you though? What are you saving cubes for? What do you even
for whatever next Ironblood ship comes out?
All right, fair enough. But that could be like 6 months from now. You don't know.
That means I'll have a lot of cubes.
He will have a lot of cubes. It's like, interesting. Is it? I wonder. Is it because you cannot easily, like, you can obviously turn gems into cubes, but you have a very interesting, strict saving system.
Well, it's not necessarily strict with Azure Lane, because like I had like 100 and something fucking cubes, like 160, and most of them plus some more that we got from like whatever went all to the soccer band. I'm like, I don't actually want this ship, but I can't stop rolling. Like,
I think that means that you wanted that chip, Lucky.
No, I didn't. I don't care. I'm never gonna fucking use her.
I mean, well, that's always a problem. Once you have more than 6 good ships, are you ever actually gonna use them?
Like,
it's a little complex.
Because like here's the thing. Like, I level all my Ironblood ships. All my Ironblood ships are level 100 minimum. I take that back. Like 3 of the new ones are still getting levels, but all of them are like over level 70. Like, I only have 6 Ironblood ships that still have, like, enhancements needed. I have, like, 7, like, 100, level 120 Ironblood ships. Like, I'm all in on Ironblood. Like, Sakura ships are my secondary for what I do and whatnot, but most of the time I'm like, I usually have so many ships, I'm like, I really don't care. But, like, because I wanted Shinano. Like, I did. That was something I was like, yes, I want Shinano. But then I started rolling, and then I started getting other ships, and then I just got that thing of like, but maybe I could get the whole collection. And I was like, no, you don't need the whole collection. Then, but that voice in the back of my head is like, or do you? I was like, God damn it.
Okay, so it got away from you a little bit, but yeah, no, you're still pretty good at having the saving mentality. It's just once you decide you're going to spend cubes, you get a little spendy.
Yeah, so that's what I have to do. I have to decide not to spend in the first place.
I mean, hey, I've done the same damage control with Azure Lane about stuff.
It's like with Arknights right now. Like I want the what was her name? Fuck, who's the new 6-star in Arknights right now?
Rosa. Okay, listen. Arknights is destroying me so hard. I don't know shit about shit anymore. I'm constantly getting. I got like P3 Hoshiguba on that banner, and I'm just like, I don't know nothing from nobody. What's a new unit? There's new units in this game? So, I'm not the question. I'm not the person. Obviously, you were asking chat. But in general, right now, audience, I'm going to let you know. I'm not the person to ask about that right now. I'm like, what's a new unit? Usually I get a new 4-star maybe, but...
You hear people are like, save for W! And I'm just like, but
why?
These directions now.
Also, why would I save for something in Arknights? I tried to spend a shitload for Neon, and I got like 2 other 6 stars. Like, I think I'm gonna... I don't know. I think you need to do like 300 individual rolls. I probably didn't go that bad, but like, I'm gonna have a decent chunk of the spark effect if that's retroactive. Because holy shit, guys. Like, I tried really hard and was not rewarded with Neon. Which is basically like not being rewarded at all.
Yeah, but with like Azure Lane, they're doing their Escomo event. And I don't know what's gonna happen after that, but I think I'm gonna take a break, slowly start regaining cubes. Actually, I should probably stop playing Genshin for that.
QB. Good cubes.
But it goes. Like, Justagram is great, as always.
Yeah, though, like I said, I'm slightly off-put by just how much food posting there is. I feel like I know that that's an actual like social media meme or whatever, but I don't follow anybody who posts food anywhere, and I'm getting tired of it. But occasionally we do also do other stuff. Yeah, you should also check the rewards. I feel like, how many do I need to get Eskimo? You need 10,000 points. I have 100. So, that's still a lot, but you do get some bonuses. I'm also still only on the first map.
Let me make sure I get my login.
So, I'm 1/100th of the way there. 1%, everybody.
Let's see, let's do this match game real quick. I love these match cards. I wish they actually sold them. Pretty sure I mentioned that before.
I mean, I don't think it's got anything to do with anime food porn thing. I think it's just they're making a joke about social media. And I'm just like, I'm over it, though.
There we go. Oh, yeah, I have to do it again because I was having an error before. Alright, let's see.
But yeah, Arknights is ongoing. There's an event. Some of the maps are sassy, like they always are. I've got my first copy. It seems like the currency, though, is at least pretty well balanced. Like, I've already got the first copy of the new store welfare. Absinthe? Yeah. Got them right away just by, like, doing that map a couple times and then doing some other stuff because I'm still committed right now. I'm pretty close, actually. I should, by the time I log back in tonight to double check on stuff and do some more things, I should have enough materials to E2 Silver Ash.
Nice.
Because the last bout of contingency contract, much like how I E2'd Lapland as my first ever E2 because I was tired of exploding spiders and stuff, the last round of contingency contract made me really tired of stealth units, so I'm just ready to just make them fuck off and die. I feel like that's Arknight's main move with some units is just like, hey, do you want to just tell your enemies, no, don't? Build this unit. This unit's good at telling drones to fuck off and die. Are they invisible? Use Silver Ash. Do they do anything remotely resembling an ability? Lapland's for you. Do you want to beat up a whole bunch of guys at once? Try AoE casters. But yeah, so I'm having an okay time. I haven't actually looked at any of the story because they look like they have like a weird mechanic where you got to like buy the story stuff. It's not necessarily like a ladder to it, but I'll get into it. I'm sure a lot of people have been talking about it. And I believe I do actually, through the course of not rolling on their banners, but because Arknights is Spook City, I do believe I have all of the Ursa student girls. That's it's Yesina, Zima, Gummy, and is Bee Hunter also in that? I know she's Ursus, but I don't remember if she's in the group.
I don't remember.
See, I do love that they do have a faction system for this, right? Okay, well, they're brand new acts, so why you gotta be harsh on my buzz? Okay, so it's Zima, Gummy, and yeah, I had them before this event started, so I am curious about them. So I'm sure I'll want to check out story stuff. Yay, story stuff. Oh, actually, was this the update that added back in also is that why they're in the store? Is this added back the gallery to, like, review old updates?
Yes.
I knew this was coming, but I don't remember when it was. This was a manual update. I do notice that they did the thing that when it happened, like, 6 months ago in the Chinese version or whatever that I was super excited for, you can now, bulk do trading orders. Love it. It's the best.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they made a lot of improvements. I did have to do the old uninstall, reinstall because, that is the unfortunate thing about Arknights. Whenever it version updates, it wants you to basically re-download the whole fucking game anyway. So my phone was like, no, you idiot, you cannot fit this game and also this game again on the same phone. Thank you very much. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just uninstall and log back in. Thank you for account minding. Okay, so this also has the recruitment reward, so I need to go apeshit on recruitment.
Oh, this alligator's been shamed.
What was that, Lucky?
Oh no, there's a video I'm watching of an alligator who, I guess his owner tried to drop some meat into his mouth and he missed, and then he just stood there shocked and just ran off in shame. Poor alligator.
I've seen a very funny clip of somebody doing that with a dog, kind of like tossing food up in the air, and the dog just whiffs every time. I think it's set to like Blue Danny or something. Where I saw that video was in a Markiplier Try Not to Laugh compilation. He immediately laughed. Animals always get him. Okay, well, unless you have anything you want to say about D-Child, I do think we've covered all our Gacha stuff.
Nah, I got nothing to talk about D-Child.
Okay. Well, let's see. We're at about an hour and a half in, so let's talk about my emotional devastation.
Oh, God. That's right.
Yeah, so guys, guess what? I had a fun Thursday. So, I knew my copy of Squadron was coming early. I wasn't necessarily sure I was going to play it that day, but I knew that it was, like, Amazon was like, it's going to be on time to release date, and then, of course, because it was Amazon, it was like, oh, it's going to show up a day early, because once we send it, it's sent. So I was like, shit, I'm still not done with Ghosts of Tsushima. Well, I talked about it for 30 minutes while you were doing something else, Axe. Heyo. Also, I think people are talking about it. I don't know. That's a weird thing to tangent slightly before I go further back into that. That's a weird thing I noticed is that because of the thing of like early review copies and stuff for like outlets is I see a lot of people talk about something like a couple days before something comes out, and then they don't ever come back to it, right? So, like, I feel like there's a weird bit of... There's a bump of press just before something comes out, like a video game, and then it dies down, usually. Barring people who do, like, normal stuff. But, anyway. So, Squadrons was coming. On Thursday, it literally arrived, and I was like, okay, well, I've got it, so, I need to go ahead and beat Ghost of Tsushima. I was already in Act 3. I think I was mostly done with everybody's storylines. Mm-hmm. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it, and I did it. So that was my first bit. So I've beaten Ghost of Tsushima now. I'll try to avoid, like, super deep spoilers, but otherwise, just cover your eyes and ears for the next 30 minutes or whatever. But yeah, so I'm done. Well, I'm not done. I got some stuff to go back to, because I think I missed a couple of Mongol encampments, because I was like, okay, I'm trying to beat the story. There's no real story element to this, and I don't want to, like, crawl over every ounce of the third province to Kamigata to find it. And hey, guess what? The map conveniently marks them for me now anyway. Mm-hmm. So I will go back to it and finish that stuff up. But I was like full technique points, like literally max level. It's max reputation, all that stuff. Got all my stuff maxed out, bought all the things, did all the stuff. I joked about this another time. I did all the hot springs, for instance. Got the fundoshi. A true samurai needs no clothes.
What was it? Jin after drinking
too much sake. Yeah, it's Jin after drinking too much sake. So at some point, it's canon. Jin just got soused one day and was like, samurai needs no clothes. It makes you super stealthy. But I did all the shrines, got all my vanity items, sword kits, etc. Did all the haikus. Well, except for the last haiku, which is at the very end.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll talk about big baby brain moves later, but just in general, I got everything done, did everybody's storylines, with some interesting stuff. It's weird, right? I feel like some stuff with the storylines just hangs, right? Like, Sensei Ishikawa kind of comes to an understanding. By the way, I love that part where it's like, is it like Friends in Passing or something is the quest? Where you go out to meet Sensei Ishikawa and you run into very clearly Tomoe, pretending to be somebody. You just hang out with her for a while. And I'm like, oh, well, this is actually quite nice. She's kind of flirty, but Jin is not a doofus.
Nope.
Though at the same time, at the end, it is a little bit like I feel like she does a little bit do the get out of jail free, where I'm like, no. I was captured. I gave those guys an innocent death. I lost control somewhere in Act 2, and I'm just like, okay, it didn't really seem like that, though. Like, obviously, I knew Sensei Ishikawa was not 100% right, but also I don't feel like you're 100% innocent. But, hey, welcome to Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's the point.
Yeah, I feel like that was kind of the point, but it does end up with kind of a weird ending where it's just like, yeah, fine, whatever. She's not a bad person, I guess. We'll let her go. She threw down the bow anyway. Yeah, you don't got to worry about her shooting anybody, at least.
I think that's what Ishikawa was willing to let go. Is like she wasn't going to take up her bow.
Yeah, anymore. She wasn't going to use his way of the bow to kill anybody anymore. Like, whatever she did with her life, it was separate.
Yes.
So she goes on to start a new life and throws down the bow, and you get to put it in your cool bat cave later. Love that segment, by the way. That sequence. That's the kind of the post game thing. So that was interesting. On the other hand, as soul crushing as it is, Lady Masako's storyline ends with a shitload of resolution.
Oh god.
And also, I gotta be honest, I'm still fucking Hana, man. I'm like, okay, alright, okay. I understand where you're coming from, but at any point, did you consider just having a conversation with your sister? Like, hey, shit sucks. No, we're gonna develop a fucking murder conspiracy in the middle of my Mongol invasion problem? It's just like, okay, alright, fine, fuck. That's just one of those things where it's just like, oh, no, yeah, this is just sad all around. This is just gonna be big sad for everybody.
Yep.
No, but I do kind of appreciate the character arc there, and it's just like, yeah, no, okay, alright. You know? And I kind of appreciate after all she went through, Matsuko's ending is just like, nah, you do it. Just passes her the Tonto. By the way, that's a very interesting point. Yes. That's very apt for you to say, Dallas. But oh yeah, no, just a little bit of talking. Get some people some fucking couches. More people need couches.
Yeah, but that implies that people are going to talk about their problems.
Well, it is true. We are in a Japanese samurai fantasy, a historical fiction. That's not going to happen. Which I got to say, very interesting. Kind of like there's some anachronisms, right? Like Tsushima's not that big.
Nope.
This is interesting. I kind of wish they did it differently. I know enough conversational Japanese and enough about the structure to pick up when the dialogue is different than the subs, right? Yeah. And obviously, I believe the Japanese script adapters, the Japanese localizers, that's weird to say, but it's true.
Yeah.
They definitely did their due diligence and went pretty hardcore on the dialogue, right?
Yes.
Because they put all that Japanese subtlety into how you refer to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all that heavy stuff goes in there. But so like the sword is katana styled, but in the dialogue they only ever call it tachi, which would have been the appropriate style of sword. But you could not iaijutsu fast draw; it's worn the other way. So, but I'm like, gameplay. Like here, hey, fun fact: the Japanese didn't develop the modern katana until after the Mongol invasions because of the Mongol invasions.
Good job, Mongols.
Because boiled leather and iron plates were too good for tachi and uchi katanas to cut. So they had to develop a more balanced striking curve and improve their forging techniques. But yeah, so overall, did all the story stuff, and then it's just like, alright, power through. Okay, cool. But thinking about it, I didn't talk too much about it, but the transition from Act 2 to 3 and the whole thing is just really like, it's very interesting to see everybody go. And I said this earlier, right? Like, nobody's 100% right at anything, but god damn it, Uncle Man. That's just, it's just kind of frustrating, right? The way it goes, because it's just like, obviously, especially because of the stuff that happens in Act 3, like, Jin's not 100% right about everything, obviously. Like, his decisions do kind of hurt people, cause problems. He's never really trying to cause any damage, but well, okay, so the way I wanted to phrase this is, Lord Shimura is all ethos. This is a pretty classical breakdown of argument styles in writing. Ethos is ethics, basically. It's all culture yes. Touchstones. So Shimura is like all ethos. That's not to say he doesn't have like emotions or logic, but the way he operates is first and foremost, what's our code of conduct here? What is our social cultural context for this? We are honorable samurai. And people kvetched about this a little in chat that technically Bushido wasn't ever a formalized code until way, way later, but there were still vague codes of conduct, and there was feudal fealty. At the time of the Tsushima thing, this wouldn't have been as hard and fast. And honestly, Shimura is very bullheaded about codes of conduct and honor. You do meet some shogunate samurai, and generally the way the shogun acts is also not necessarily about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're a little more realpolitik about it, but Shimura is very hardcore in ethos. He has a cultural and a social context in why he does things. other things are not acceptable. And I feel like he doesn't ever bother trying to explain or understand why they're not acceptable. Like he's having this conversation with Jean about stuff and is just like, no. Like, honestly, I can kind of feel why there's a break between them, because it almost feels like he's still treating, well, he's still treating Jin like a child, like his kid. Like to him, you never really grew up, even though you're a grown-ass man with constant 5 o'clock shadow, killing Mongols for fun. Though that's a funny bit of dialogue with, quote-unquote Matsu, aka Tomoe, where she's like, but I bet you enjoy holding the power of life and death in your hand, and you can be like, yeah, or nah. I think I was like, nah, it's important, but I don't think I enjoy it, which I'm like, no, it's okay, pulling off a 5 standoff streak is cool, but boy howdy, if these guys could just fuck off and get back on their boats, that would be great too. Like, gosh, if I didn't have to murder so many Mongols, that'd be great. But so Shimura is all ethos. The thing about Jin is that he's big logos and pathos. Logos, logic, reason, what needs, pragmatically what needs to be done. Pathos, emotion. He is all like these I'm tired of these motherfucking Mongols in my motherfucking island kind of thing. And then he's all just about thinking logically, okay, how do I get rid of this problem? And some of that's just because you start out the game pretty weak, right? You're in busted ass armor. You've barely recovered your swords. You don't even have a bow yet, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so it's obviously engaging in some of your sneakier tactics is kind of necessary. And even then, it's actually really interesting how the game kind of weighs things, because it's not really a game about choices per se. Like, you do have a couple of kind of like, well, there's at least one big gameplay choice. And there's a decent number of dialogue choices that kind of reflect how characters think about you. Mm-hmm. And apparently there is a hidden modifier. The more ghosty you are, the stormier Tsushima is.
Yes.
Which I think I must have been median, because it was decently overcast and stuff all the time, but also there were plenty of times when the sun just comes out. Though when you do go into ghost stance, it does just immediately thunderstorm. I love it. That's something I caught later thinking about that when I learned about that hidden mechanic. But in essence, the game is about Gene ultimately deciding to go down the pragmatic path because, as at least from his point of view, his uncle won't get off his ass and actually do anything worth a damn. And to be fair, it's true. Your Uncle Shimura, Lord Shimura is not necessarily a galaxy brain. We're gonna get these Mongols out of my castle tonight. Gee, well, they've blown up the bridge. Why don't we just stand back and pick them off with archers and starve them out? Like anybody does a siege, a perfectly legitimate siege. No, we must charge across the bridge.
Well, let's fix the bridge and then send waves upon waves into a choke point. Perfect.
Full-blown Zap Brannigan Big Book of War shit. Which, by the way, when you do the mission later, which causes the break, when you sneak back there, Jin's like, oh shit, there's a whole bunch of black powder barrels behind that. That's gonna be bad. So, like, yeah. Your uncle is right about, yes, Jin consisting to go down his path does alienate him from lots of people and cause governmental problems. But at the same time, he's driven to these extremes because Shimura is so inflexible. Like, he will not bend an inch normally to do anything. And
well, I wouldn't necessarily say like
well,
that.
no, maybe not bend an inch, but he's very resolute in like literally this comes up earlier when you blowgun some guys in the back and cut a Mongol's head off and throw it after them. Mm-hmm. Which honestly, other than the blowgun thing, is probably not that weird for a samurai. Cut a guy's head off and throw it at somebody.
Well, he did it from the back, I think that's what it was.
Well, yeah, you got him from behind, and then you were like yelling at them like, yeah, see what you get, Mongols, run!
Bitch!
And then he's just like, no, Jin, we don't do that. That's bad. Never attack an enemy and cause fear like that. And I'm just like, have you met a Mongol, Mr. Uncle Man? Have you noticed how they're soulless monsters?
Well, that's in the comparison of, bringing yourself down to that level, though, at the same time.
Yeah, I know. He's kind of got that thing, like
Shimura is, like, he's definitely a hard ass. I definitely agree with that, but he's one of those people who is also concerned of not just if we win, but how we win, because how we win will...
Well, yeah, I will admit, he has more foresight than Jin. Like, he's looking farther ahead. Mm. That is arguably one of Jin's biggest flaws, is like I said, talking about, like, pathos and logos, Jin never thinks about anything other than, what's my next move, right? Yes. Like, at his biggest, he has a 4-point bullet list, which is literally the story quests. Literally, I think the biggest you can get is a 4-deep chain. do this, that, this, and that other thing. Like, he doesn't care about what comes after that until you get down your list and then another problem comes up. Like, yeah, he has a foresight problem, but he's very proactive about his things. Like, it's the classic tragedy. Like, if these guys could just come together and find a fucking compromise, like, I don't know, maybe Jin doesn't have to poison all the Mongols, but you could send him to, like, secretly scout it out and, like, make sure there's no, like, double trap on the bridge that they already trapped because the Mongols have no honor.
Yeah.
It's
Jin at his very core, despite all that, wants to save his island.
Right. I've talked about this before. Jin's name is literally the character, the word for compassion.
Yes.
That's his heroic hubris, right? His flaw is he really cares about his fucking island to the detriment of everything else. Because spoilers at the end, your uncle hands you a letter, and his worst fears were realized. The Shogun disbanded your clan.
Yep.
And Jin's like, whatever, dude, do it again. Smoke him if you got him. And I'm like, you're not wrong. You know, to Jin, other than the sweet armor it got me and the great sword, being Clan Sakai really didn't help me any during that deep crisis of my life. And honestly,
I would say a little bit because your clan was probably what helped you gather the allies in the first place.
It's true. Being your history with those characters at least, and being a samurai kind of got you in some doors and stuff, and it got you a lot of respect. But in general, ultimately, people respect Jin for Jin because he's the ghost. Like, he's doing stuff on his own. Like, that is the thing. Jin is also very humble in a way, right? Like, he's not really too fussed about losing his clan or anything. He's like, guess I'll just go.
If you think about it, if you played like I did, you stopped to help every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the road that seemed to might have a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, no, I did. If I saw a hostage or a patrol, it was like, oh, are you in trouble? And it's like, yeah, no. Like he doesn't even want to embrace the ghost legend per se.
No, it's not until after a certain incident where he's like, all right.
Well, yeah, it's when his uncle calls him out. And also, again, talking about Shimura's flaws, huge classist.
Yes, very much.
Like, he doesn't give a funk about anybody who's not an honorable samurai.
Nope.
Which again, Jin is the exact opposite. If he sees a single Japanese man, woman, or child endangered by a Mongol, anyway, at no point do we express compassion for Mongols. But that's okay because they never show any compassion back. That is one thing that I appreciate. Like we said, that they do take an effort to like show you the culture and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't completely dehumanize them. But at the same time, at no point are the Mongol invaders ever tried to portray it sympathetically. Like, at no point do the developers like, but if you look at it from this light, it's okay. They're like the game acknowledges, okay, the Mongols are your fellow human beings. They're also invading another fucking country for no good goddamn reason, right?
If I remember correctly, Mongol invasions, it was literally like, all right, they're almost, if I remember right, they're almost considered like slave soldiers, if I remember right.
Yeah, they don't really show us a lot of their peasant levies. Like, there actually should be a lot more Koreans and Chinese invading Tsushima. Most of them speak Mongol and look Mongolian. Though they do display a wide variety of weapons from a lot of places.
Yes.
But yeah, no, and they talk about this when talking about the Mongol economy. They mention that the Mongol don't have a currency system. They basically work on a mixed barter/tribute system. So basically what it sounds like is that this is their version of paying Mongol taxes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, They owe a tribute to the big boy Kong, so Khotun Khan has to go invade somewhere and bring back a lot of spoils and slaves and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, at no point are they considered like super nice guys.
Especially with the methods they use. Fuck. This game.
So you want to talk about the ultimate Logos, right? That's Khotun Khan. He is nothing but what can I do that will cause maximum effect on this island?
Fear.
Like, he tries to be soft, he tries to recruit when it matters him, but the moment it doesn't work, he murders your friends, and then you don't feel bad for him when you kick his ass. By the way, I do appreciate the way they set that up in multiple stages. You have your big boy boss fight with him, but then after it ends, it's just a regular mook fight, so you can do all the shit you're not allowed to do. Like, throw sticky bombs at him.
Well, again, you have your honorable duel, and when you have your honorable duel, and then it's like, all right, now let me show you all this neat shit I should learn. Because this is one thing I have something to bring up, like how I don't necessarily give like Shimura a lot of shit. In Act 1, there was no Shimura. He was just all like, he's in this counseling, like, I will not fucking surrender.
Yeah. No, he has a lot. that's kind of like the interplay. Like, yeah, he has a lot of endurance, right? Like, he has a lot of strength of will.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's probably what makes him so stubborn and unchanging. He's like, listen, dude, I didn't have to do shit. I just sat around and was stoic at him, and it's fine. I got rescued. Yeah. Obviously, because he's not down in the dirt, he doesn't realize all the shit you had to do.
Yeah, but Jin literally is like pretty much the last samurai on the fucking island. He has like no troops, nothing, and he's like, how am I gonna fucking do this? This dude is literally, good luck, I'm behind 5,000 fucking Mongols.
Right. And he does, in Act 2, he comes up with a semi-competent plan. He's like, okay, we gotta get reinforcements from the Shogun. I know, I have my own shady guy I know. Like, you know a shady lady. Though, honestly, he does seem nicer to his shady guy than he seems to my shady lady. Thank you very much, Uncle Shimura. And he's not completely against, like, doing other stuff, because he's like, yo, kid, you captured a Hwacha? Cool. Shoot him. Like, he's not completely averse to learning new lessons.
But he says he wants to win in a way that does not.
Well, and like I said, he's concerned about. It becomes very clear, especially as we get into Act 3. He's also very concerned about. Like, he's like, no, we're eventually gonna win. What are we gonna do when there's no more Mongols on the island? And I'm like, admittedly, like Jin's point of view and my point of view a lot of the time is like, well, hey, guess what? If you sit on your ass some more, you won't have to worry about it because everybody will be fucking dead or enslaved by Mongols. But at the same time, like we said, Jin's extremes, his lack of forethought, this does kind of come out in the epilogue segment, right? Where where you run into a merchant who's taking everything to Jogaku Temple in the north because apparently you're supposed to go sail to the mainland and fight the Mongols there. And Jin's like, don't remember planning that one.
Yeah. I'm also, I will say that scene was also a moment of Lord Shimura showing he is a bit of a classist, but he isn't against lending a helping hand, as he was like, no, let's push this fucking dude.
Well, yeah, he believes in a certain amount of noblesse oblige, but it's kind of very limited to people he sees as, if you're following the mold, you're okay, but he's like, oh yeah, that girl's a thief, huh? Which I don't think, other than the fact that she theoretically stole your katanas, we only ever have her word that she was basically a fucking homeless urchin to go on that she steals stuff, right?
I think she says she stole stuff.
Right, she tells it, right? She tells her sorry backstory, but you never actually see her steal anything.
Well, technically yes and no, because remember, like, right in the beginning, she's like, hey, like, loot these people's stuff, like, whatever you need, and Jin's like, but this is other people's stuff, and it's like, they don't need it? And that's when you start just
right. She has the right attitude for it, but, like, there's a lot of narrative weight by certain characters put on by calling her a thief, you know, basically calling her street rat, and it's just like, again, talking about like how nobody's 100% right. The way the game frames her anyway is like, I mean, okay, so she's a little rough around the edges, and she's not afraid to get her hands dirty, but that's because she's lived through rough times. Like, as far as I can tell, Yuna's been nothing but helpful and kind to me, nursing me back to health twice. Actually, is it like 3 times before the end?
Yeah, it'd be a 3rd time because
you get poisoned, which apparently gives Jin the ability to just resolve through poison. I love that. Mongols get poisoned, blah, blah, my blood, blah, blah, blah. Jin gets poisoned. Oh, my screen's a little blurry. Hold on, let me get over it. And also showing probably that the poison's not perfect.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, what you use for poison is probably not what the Mongols use for poison. They just know about the plant.
It's true. I don't think they have the same, because it's not a story-related thing. That's an optional side quest to do the thing to get the hallucinogen poison.
Yeah. But like Lord Shimura's like, I can't hate the guy. I just think he's really wrong in some areas.
Yeah. Like, I'm annoyed at him. But I'm not like, I don't hate him or anything. I'm just kind of like, oh, come on, Uncle Man. You don't be a dickbag right now, okay? And like I said, it's not like Jin doesn't make a super effort to like try and compromise either. But at the same time, it's also probably because his uncle is so uncompromising. Like I said, when you do the Act 2 break, he's like, your only choice is to give up your friend because she's a worthless scumbag, and like declare yourself my son, and it'll be fine. And and to Jin's point of view, he's like, dude, I just murdered my other best friend, and she's like my best friend now, and you're not really putting out positive vibes, so no, I'm the ghost now. Fuck you, I guess. And admittedly, he comes quietly at least, and I never murdered at any point any of those samurai.
Nope. Same.
Like when you go back to the castle later, you can do that totally stealthy. It's not an optional quest not to murder any of those guys, but I was like, I'm not going to murder any of those guys just in case. Mostly because a decent part of that episode is other samurai and your uncle shit-talking you. So I'm kind of like, I'm definitely not going to murder any of these guys just because they're being so sassy to me. Like, at one point I had to distract a guy. I threw a bell. I made very sure I did not have the poison killing bell charm on, because that's one of the charms you can get.
Yes.
I do feel like after the game is said and done, the charms, I like the concept of charms. God, that really needed like a sort or trash feature or something.
Yeah.
Because some charms are basically leveled, they're ranked like 1 to 3. You don't get the good shit until the end, but it's like, okay, I get why you want me to have like 5 copies so I can like super hyper focus on a basic charm of melee damage or whatever, but the game just needed a little bit better sorting. Like, I love all the vanity options, right? There's too fucking many of them. There's like 50 different headbands, there's different helmets. They don't make any sense how they're sorted, because I'm not sure. Is it alphabetical? No, I think it's not, because you can get helmets in the middle of headbands, I think. But like, it's a huge clusterfuck to find anything in your vanity items. You don't get that many armors, so it's mostly okay. But yeah, still, so story-wise, I had some interesting thoughts about everything. I kind of liked like the ultimate tale of how nobody's wrong and nobody's right. Mm-hmm. For the ending, I went through with the duel. Yeah, it's painful, but at the same time, I felt like at least the way I'd played the game and what I'd seen, just leaving him alive would be almost like that would almost be more hurtful. Mm-hmm. Because I'm leaving him alive with the fact that he's failed the Shogun and he's gonna have to like live with the fact that I'm a criminal outlaw the whole time, like worrying about me. Mm-hmm. Like kind of almost like the like Batman type or the ghost type thing. Because honestly, if you think about it, when he becomes full ghost, Jin is very much like how the Japanese traditionally used shinobi, using a lot of their same tools. But I was like, okay, no, I'll take it on me. I'll deal with the fact that we had a duel to the death that I killed you at the end of, rather than have you have to deal with all your bullshit, because there's no way this is going to look good for you that I'm not dead. Honestly, I feel like both endings are probably sad and sassy. It's just how you feel like resolving it. And I felt like the tragic duel to the death was kind of the way this should end.
No, like I say, I actually think kind of the opposite of one, as someone who is like, to slay them be the honorable thing, I am someone who has, completely discarded honor. Like, why should I follow that? Also, I was personally thinking of like, if I kill my uncle, they're gonna send someone else, probably someone who's probably not gonna like be as nice as my uncle, because for all intents and purposes, before manga famous, Tsushima seemed to like it was a pretty solid fucking place. Due to that, I was like, no, I'm not gonna rob the people of Tsushima of someone who would try on their behalf. Even if he's flawed, I'm pretty sure he's a lot less flawed than some fucking mainland politician.
I mean, they are still sending. That's part of the thing. They're sending new mainland samurai.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting thing, right? Like you can decide how you want to do it anyway. And if they do decide to do like a sequel, because there is a second invasion, like we said,
yes,
that would be an interesting to comment on. I don't think it'll be directly related. I don't know, but yeah, it's got a lot of like, and honestly, I say it's a choice. It's more about just what ending scene you see, because it's not the game's over at that point. So it's even though you can go back in the post game to finish some stuff up, it doesn't really affect anything because it does, nothing changes. So it's like it's only mostly about like thematics, and the game is very good at like you have different thematicals you're working on, and what you decide to do. Like I kind of felt like the way the movie should end was that way, but you could work out other ways. Like you did. You were like, nah, I want to, you decided to go the ultimate pragmatic option.
Yes.
Which being like, no, even though it sucks for everybody, I think you're more useful alive.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said, that's the final haiku, is that whole thing, and it's just like, reflect on loss. It's just like, oh, ow.
Oh, God.
Ouch.
It kills me how you can look at, like, Lord Shimura.
Oh, yeah, no, the first line is always him. It's, It's basically like head, hands, or feet.
And you're just
legs.
like, no, this hurts.
And then you gotta like compose. You're both composing your death poems basically in case one of you loses, which is very classy. Love the haiku system. Sorry, had to sneeze.
So like, yeah. So Ghost of Tsushima, very emotional, very scales of gray.
Yeah, no, and like I said, that is the classic way these samurai dramas, like the samurai movies this is based on, draws from. Like a lot of the styling for like armor and stuff and look around and like behavior is basically drawn from movies. Like literally, that's why they've got that Kurosawa mode. It's why the Japanese people do love it so much. I did some of that reading. I think it was the Yakuza producer, like the head guy, who was like, they did it perfectly right. I am sad. A Japanese team should have made this game, but these Westerners did, and they did it right. Like we've talked about this. There are plenty of anachronisms, but thematically, I think it's on the ball. And it's a very good idea of like what this kind of drama piece is about. It's like that intersection of belief, of duty, of your personal wishes and stuff, like going against each other and how it resolves, and just it's ugly for everybody, kind of. It's ugly for the Khan because I murders his ass.
Yeah,
I do feel like it could have been a little more stormy, but at least that was kind of a cool thing with the way the guiding wind works, where at the end you kill him and then just the big typhoon winds just full of fire just swell up behind you. Like
I kind of wish that we actually got out to see a little bit and had like something more.
Yeah, like I don't know if it would have like fucked with the physics, but I felt like the boat should have like started rocking and it should have been like dramatically raining super hard, but maybe they wanted to go for more of a, because it was up in the cold, so it was snowier. Maybe they wrote themselves into a corner. Again, by BT Dubs, real life Tsushima, while this is based on it and amplified, it's smaller than this, and it doesn't have distinct biomes like that. That was like, I think we talked about this when you mentioned the way the third act is. That's very much a thematic thing of like, no, Act 3 is like winter. Yeah, then the epilogue is basically you go back down where it's sunny and your new day dawns.
It's spring again. Yeah, you basically go from summer, fall, winter in your biomes.
Also, great touch when you meet up with your uncle. You're automatically put in the Ronin outfit. Makes sense because you're about to get the news that your clan's been disbanded. And I mean, it's basically the game's attempt at doing a like default, kimono, hakama type thing, jacket pants kind of thing. All your other stuff is usually like armor or weird.
But again, Ghost of Tsushima.
10 out of 10 game. Great stuff. Great soundtrack.
Stuff.
I like it a lot. And I say great soundtrack because I think it's the OST is about 2 hours long. That's what I spent a decent chunk of my life listening to after I finished it, because Thursday was also the day when I got my copy of Battlegrounds, which was slightly delayed, but Amazon did manage to find its butt and ship it to me. They were saying wouldn't come until like the 7th through 10th or something, like crazy long time. And I guess they found whatever copy they were going to assign to me sooner than they thought and did ship it. But it's just like, wow, okay. But I got it the same day. So I was planning on playing more Genshin Impact, but I was like, nah, it's late. I want to read the book because I want to make sure I'm, it's brand new and I want to read it and I'm missing stuff. And so while I read, I listened to a mixture of, I listened to the Ghosts of Tsushima OST. This is something I like to do now, is I like to throw music up on my TV while I read books now. Just kind of set some themes. And I listen to a lot of, YouTube does mixes and stuff, so I queued up YouTube's classic rock, which is shockingly appropriate. So obviously, Lucky, you've been trying to finish up side jobs while you do Genshin Impact.
Yes, I have made more progress in Aftermath. Gentleman John Marconi just knife fucking Billy, because you ain't Dresden, kid.
Marcon's a very interesting and impressive character.
I love him.
He's a guy.
Marcone is the character who got me inside. It's like it's better to have organized crime than unorganized crime.
That's definitely his ethos.
Yes,
he's a real long running guy. Shockers, as the free-holding Lord of Chicago, he comes up a lot in the narrative of Battlegrounds. Okay, so but you're not. While obviously, like you said, and I agree, Genshin's a great game for just listening to stuff, right? Because you're just wandering around in the woods doing things. With a little bit of story, you're not caught up, so no spoilers, obviously. But you're working on it. Someday we'll probably have a big double feature because you'll be done with Peace Talks into Battlegrounds.
Yeah, no, I got my copy of Battlegrounds in audiobook. It's just, as again, Lucky fucked up. He should have got the fucking actual book.
Yep, no, I'm done with both. They're sitting in my cabinet right now. So Battlegrounds. Boy, it's an experience. I've said this to Lucky already. I'm not super in a rush to pick up and get an audiobook version and hear James Marsters have to do some of these scenes. That's gonna be a thing. Knowing Lucky a lot, I gotta give him the big baby tears warning.
Oh no.
So this is, first of all, timing wise, Battleground takes place over, I want to say, about 8 hours. There's a little bit of time skipping, but genuinely, it's I won't say when and how Peace Talk ends, but Peace Talks ends. It ends in a cliffhanger. It immediately transitions to the next bit, and then it's just a compressed night of an entire novel length. I'm pretty sure Battlegrounds is bigger than Peace Talks.
Oh jeez.
Just a nonstop Dresden action. There is a lot of battle in it, in case you couldn't tell, and God, it's hurtful. There's a lot of senseless violence, loss, death. I won't say who, but I cannot sugarcoat to you that there are a number of characters, new and old, who just go out just because that's how it is sometimes.
Oh God, it hurts.
Like, just there's you gotta scratch off some names at the end of the day. It's another one of those big books. On the other hand, this is also probably one of the most action-packed books, as I said, because almost all of these things happen in response to fighting lots of horrible, gribbly monsters en masse.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, a lot of characters get a lot of work done. A lot of people have been praising it because, man, this is a giant Chekhov's gun cavalcade of old characters coming back, and a lot of them get to kick ass. Like, a lot of characters you've been thinking they're holding back, they're doing stuff, they get to put on their boots and go walking. In some of the most dramatic anime-ass stuff that has ever happened. Real big boy stuff. So lots of very impressive callbacks, lots of very impressive work. And ultimately, I think I would say the way it ends is kind of, it's kind of like it's definitely the ending of an arc, basically, right? Like the novel's dramatically changed in changes that led into Ghost Story and, Cold Days. Forgot the next book for a second there. That kind of continued a different arc, right? And in Skin Game is kind of like a return to form. Harry kind of settles down a little, but as you've already seen in Peace Talks, that immediately gets disrupted, right?
Yes.
So, I feel like the way that Battlegrounds ends, well, there's a lot of pain, a lot of bloodshed, a lot of hard-ass work from Chicago's #1 working wizard, and a lot of other people go to work. It feels like the kind of thing, while there's still some disruption, we're trying to settle back into, starting a new chapter in this series, right? This is definitely a climax-type book. There is some big fuck you throwdowns in it, some big boy stuff, and yeah, but it's also, like I said, can't sugarcoat. It's hurtful. It's got some deep cuts. There's some people who die who really don't deserve to die. There's some people who live who probably don't deserve to live. There's a couple of people who you don't know what the fuck happened to them, which in some ways is freakier. And there's some people who aren't dead, but there's some relationship stuff in there too. There's some reforming of the boundaries and what we do. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it, but you'll understand the stakes before we start when you get to the end of Peace Talks. Like I said, cliffhanger. But it's a ride, Chief.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready for this ride.
Oh, but golly gee willikers, there will... it's not all doom and gloom, though. There are some moments in there. And there's some baits and switches, too. Jim Butcher's real good at this. Real good at the emotional heartstrings. He'll drop something on you and then do it sideways after.
I am excited. Like I said, I said, Aftermath. Like I said, I'm in Aftermath right now, so it's Aftermath. Aftermath is a little hard to get through. Not for it's bad.
Well, yeah. So Aftermath was set in the aftermath of changes, so it has a very, like I said, a very kind of harsh backfill, basically. Like it's got a rough tone because it's coming from a rough place.
Yeah.
Though interestingly, also, I believe you already read the Christmas Eve story, right, Lucky?
Yeah. Where
at least in the printed version, I don't know if it'll be in the audio version, but probably, Battlegrounds ends with that reprinted in the book because that ends as a capstone.
Oh wow!
Because that's the fall. That is that Christmas Eve. That was written that it would be the Christmas Eve after Peace Talks and Battlegrounds already. So and I'm kind of glad because it puts you in the mindset that you know that hopefully at the end of the day, right? We know what's happening later. Some of these people are still going to be here. I don't want to talk about who it is in the story if you're not caught up, but people are there and they do stuff. It also has some great jokes.
I will also remember of that fucking because I do remember that John Marcone's Christmas present is he literally paid all the hospital bills, if I remember correctly.
That's not 100% right, but I don't want to correct you because that would be spoilers. It was a different character, but that is a thing.
Oh, someone did pay off.
That is a gift Harry gets, is bills are paid.
Yes, okay.
And, man, there's a lot of bills.
I wonder who paid it then.
You'll catch up. It's there.
It's there.
Like I said, it's not like not like a crazy thing. Just mentioning what their capacity is would be kind of weird. That wouldn't make sense to people who aren't caught up. A character who does appear fairly early, though, does get a present that's hilarious. This is yet another mention that Mab, Queen of Air and Darkness, canonically watches Disney films. Because the ring that does Frozen stuff. But yeah, no, especially after reading Battlegrounds, it's a great capstone to leave in there because it kind of reminds you why we just dealt with all that bullshit. But yeah, we'll get to the deep emotional stuff after Lucky's had a chance to catch up to two books.
Honestly, I should just probably put it on and play games and not. See, like the thing is, like when I put on an audiobook, I have to do like one less thing on my computer so I can dedicate that slot to listening.
It's fair.
So sometimes I'm not like on that because I'll be like literally right now, Lucky is doing this show, playing Arknights, playing Destiny's Child, and reading a manga. I'm doing that all right now.
Fair enough.
So it's just like
you just reminded me that I stopped playing Azure Lane for a second there to tell my story of woe. But yeah, that was Thursday for me, guys. And yeah, no, I'm yeah, we'll talk about it later. I think there's some deep cuts to talk about there. One thing that it made me really interested in though and really hopeful for is because I know they did the Dresden Files Accelerated RPG, which is switching over to Fate Accelerated, which is super simplified, and I'm like, okay, cool, but that's not super granular for me. It makes me really hope that the original version of the RPG gets supported because I know that. Well, I don't know if it was just a move new product, but I feel like there was a little bit of a push with Accelerated to be like, yeah, this is the best game ever. It's the best the thing's ever been. It's super simplified. And I'm like, okay, but not everything is better simplified because, goddamn, there's a lot of fucking action. People do new shit like you've never seen people do before. And they talk about things and they mention stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I kind of want to talk about this in the RPG context because, damn, there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens. It was very itch. Probably because I've been talking too much. But okay, all right. That was my Thursday. Okay, we're about 2 hours.
I guess only real thing to talk about, I guess, maybe be a little bit of anime. We're in the new core.
That's fair. I think you said you wanted to talk about some anime stuff.
If there's one thing I will heartily recommend to everyone to watch, it's Tonikaku Kawaii. It's super great. I super love it. Lucky was super fortunate, and he read the entire released manga like 2 weeks ago, and then I was literally overjoyed to find out that the anime was coming out in 2 weeks. I'm like, this was fucking ordained. It's basically just a slice of life romance between a hardworking young man and a mysterious girl who he meets one I think it was his third year of middle school. He meets, she saves him from a car accident, and he just becomes and he is so smitten with her that he shrugs off 2 broken legs and a major head injury to chase after her and ask her to go out with him. And she's like, sure, if you marry me. And he's like, he immediately said yes. But then he passes out. And he doesn't see her for like another 4 years. And then she's like, yeah, okay, I'm here. Let's get married. And it's like, what? It's super cute. It's a diabetes train the entire fucking way. I'm super excited for it. Oh, what else have I started? We have our 3rd season of Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon? It's following the light novel plot. There is now more Monster Girls evolved. There's not really much I can talk about that because I know how it's going to end. I read the light novel. But I'm excited to see it animated. I'm excited to see how everything plays out.
That's fair. It's not this core, but I did see earlier today that it was a trailer. For they've announced they're doing the next season of My Hero next year.
Oh, Omega, you might be slightly interested. Burn the Witch is out, and it was very good. You might like it.
Oh, I probably will like it. I didn't realize it was out.
Yeah, no, it's on Crunchyroll. It's in basically 3 20-minute segments.
Okay.
So it's just like an hour. It's like an hour, but it was good. A lot of good animation done by a studio I never heard of. Studio Colorito, but they do good work. You see that and it's like, yeah, you see that art. It's like, yeah, that's Kubo.
All right, so I'll remember to check it out sometime.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else did I watch? There's more that I watched. I can't remember. One thing I watched, I'm not really that hooked on yet. It's like there's a million lives underneath me or something like that. It's just like this weird game isekai thing that looks like it's trying to be dark but comedic at the same time. I'm just like, I'm gonna give this a couple more shots, but I'm feeling a little about this. Let's see here. Jujutsu Kaisen I watched. That was very good. It's being done by MAPPA, who can do the good work, the real good work. Jujutsu Kaisen is basically it's a shonen series about a super strong boy. Well, I say, yeah, super strong boy. Who basically gets caught up in a world of curse and demons and whatnot, and is just trying to do goo as he can. First episode showed off a lot of good animation and stuff, and that's one of the things that gets my engines revving. So I'm excited about that. There's a couple things I wanted to watch I just haven't got to yet. As I always say, Lucky's gonna do the 3-episode format. If I watch for 3 episodes and I'm just like, this ain't for me, that's how it's gonna go. I haven't checked out Funimation's site yet at all. I probably should.
I should also check. I'm still paying because it's like like $5. So I'm not crazy pants enough that I'm like, I need to cut this from my budget. But I admit I haven't looked at it in a while. But since they've announced there's another My Hero season coming, I'm like, okay, I'm there. Is that okay? That thing that Metal Tyrannica and Yashahime, is that actually started yet?
Yeah, I think I know it's slated for this core.
It was announced. Is that starting? Because that's actually really relevant to some stuff I got to talk about. If it is, okay, all right. Well, then I got to find it. Who has it stateside? Is that Funny or Crunchyroll?
I believe it was Crunchyroll. I think
those animals. I'll get them. Oh, both. Perfect. Excellent.
Wow.
Well, there's a reason I still have that subscription. Okay, cool. Excellent. Well, I'll have to track that down. I'll probably save that for reasons. That's a slight story though. Lucky, do you got any more anime you want to run down?
I'm looking at their. Oh yeah, I also started Dragon Quest: The Adventure That Die because I have fond memories of. I think that was based off a manga. I think that I read like a super long time ago. And yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the list that they have.
Fair.
Yeah, nope, that's it. I haven't checked Funimation's side yet.
Okay. All right. Well, we've been going for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I do have a story to tell about anime, which is actually relevant since we brought up the Yashahime thing. Don't worry, I'll circle back to it. But I need to go pee, and like I said, my nose is really itchy. I think I want to go like wash it off, see if I got some like oil in there or something. So we're gonna pause here for a second. As soon as I find the button, there it is. Okay. So, it's funny that we mentioned Yashahime, which is the sequel anime to Inuyasha, because actually this week, I went back and started watching the old Inuyasha anime. I've been planning to do it because I knew the sequel was coming out soon. Obviously, I did not know when it was coming out. Otherwise, I would have realized this was very much more timed. I was just thinking about it for a lot of things. It's one of those things that is recommended to me via Netflix. I am watching it on Netflix. That has the first 2 seasons and all 4 movies. I think only Hulu has the rest of the seasons, so my my plan is to just power through the first two. I've already rewatched the first season, 27 episodes. Watch the first two seasons Netflix has got, and then the movies, and then see what I want to do about it. You know, if it's like only on Hulu, and if that's freely available, because sometimes it's not. Hulu got weird over the years. When it first started, it was actually a fairly decently convenient way to like watch back a lot of TV and stuff. You know, even at a week delay. But then everybody got weird about streaming, so it got harder. So I don't even know what the fuck Hulu is up to anymore. But yeah, I believe they've got the like full rights to all the seasons, because there's like 5 or 6 seasons of that show or more. A
lot.
We talk about this with yeah, no fucking shit, Loth. I'm old. I know what the anime was. Dork. That's what I'm gonna bring up. My oldness. I did mention earlier I'm rewatching it. Because this may shock some of you youngins, which I know some of you are very young. That was what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about how we've got a lot of tiny babies, entire team is babies, in our audience. You guys might not know, because while it was very long running, it was a while ago, but Inuyasha was a very long running anime that was very, very heavily marketed by Adult Swim. I think it was like their second favorite show after Ghost in the Shell, which they partially funded. Like, they were real big into it. They did a lot of rescreening and stuff, like repeats. They showed all the movies. That's how I got into it. Big deal stuff. But it ran for a lot of years. It was a very, very long running manga. It turned into a very, very long running anime. I think it took like 10 years or more to finish the manga. And the anime actually had to take a break. It had to take a $5, because they were catching up with the manga and it still wasn't done. Because it's drawn and written by Rumiko Takahashi, who, 2 double fun facts. One, also she did Ranma 1/2.
Mm-hmm.
And also actually is married to Kazuki Takahashi, the guy who did Yu-Gi-Oh! Fun fact, true facts.
He's way more familiar with Ranma than he is with Inuyasha, by the way.
Fair enough. Well, you should check it out sometime. Like I said, Netflix has 2 seasons at least, and all the movies. But it was a very long running thing, and it took a while, and they had to stop, and then they released a follow-up series, Final Act, which is the last couple volumes, very rapidly. I've never actually seen Final Act. When the anime ended, I read the last chapters in the manga, so I know how the story ends, but I've never seen it animated. So I'm hoping to maybe catch up on that too. And like I said, the fact that they have a sequel coming out kind of was one of the things that pushed this to me. So I've checked it out. And honestly, it's kind of interesting, because on the one hand, it's like, for instance, even on Netflix, it's like 4:3, right? Like it's box format. If you've ever watched Inuyasha, one of the things you'll probably remember is the soundtrack. It has a killer OST, which is super iconic.
I want to say... Yeah, I remember that shit.
Yeah, the endings are super memorable. All of the insert songs, like, I don't know who did the soundtrack, but they're aces. Like, it's very prominent. You will know a lot of these probably if you've heard them, and I've seen other people use them as like bit music too. But it's got a very, very strong soundtrack, which I was immediately like, oh yeah, I remember this. Got all the beats. It's still kind of interesting to see stuff. It reminds me a lot of a lot of tropes that we kind of sometimes see in anime, but see less. But like stuff you don't pick up when you're young, because obviously when I first watched this show, it was quite a while ago. Which is probably slightly, it's almost not really sad, but kind of like, it's one of those getting old things to bring up. When I first watched this show on Adult Swim, I was like 12 or 13. I am now, almost 28, right? Yeah, I'm 27 right now. I'll turn 28 in not that many months. Freaky. So it was a while ago. But I noticed some things watching this with a critical eye, which is very weird. Lucky, would you have recalled that, you said you weren't an expert, so maybe you probably don't remember this, if you even saw the first episode. But in the first episode, Kagome brings up that, she's just entering high school. She's a 15-year-old high school freshman.
Oh.
Yeah, in classic anime tropes. So I'm like, missed that one. That really doesn't seem like it. It also has that, and this is the thing I've just heard people discuss before. It's really weird, because, goddamn, for a 15-year-old kid, she was ending middle school. She's starting she's literally starting high school, when the series begins. Like, she wants to make her impressions. golly gee willikers, Lucky. For a 15-year-old, she sure does get naked a lot.
Yeah.
Very classic anime things. Drawn and written by a woman who, again, Lucky will know this from the fact that she's the Ranma 1/2 author, but also, God, there's a lot of boobs in the manga of Inuyasha as well. I've read some of those early volumes. There's a lot of titties hanging out. Just titties everywhere. On the other hand, I will say this: she's only, I think Kakome's only like a head shorter than Inuyasha, who's like a big, strong half demon kid, and like her body proportions. I'm like, there's no way those legs, because her legs are really long, guys. I'm like, this girl is not drawn like a 15-year-old kid. Okay, yeah, but the skirt still goes really high. It's a really short skirt. It's weird. It's one of those things where, like, okay, for some reason the Japanese have this very strong trope about becoming a supernatural fucking hero at age 15 as a first year in high school.
Well, it's also because of, like, that's like the market they're usually aiming for.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit the marketing, right? Like you're aiming for teens, but it's kind of weird and funny. Like but also, like I said, thinking of this, I was like, yeah, when I was fucking, not that I, like, I'm pretty sure I watched this series from the beginning at some point where I was like, damn, dude, if I noticed this when I was like 12, I didn't pay it any mind. To me, when I was like 13 watching this or whatever, you know, being 15 was like a million years away. Of course. Yeah, everybody looks like that. It's fine. I'm like, wait a second.
I mean, like, that doesn't just come out of that. Like, look at fucking Western heroes where every man is ripped and every woman is. Well, yeah, no.
Comic books have their own stylings too. Usually, though, those guys aren't teenagers. They're just ambiguously. The exception is like Robin, but even then, Robin has fluctuated wildly. And they did eventually, at some point, like have Robin grow up. Did you? Yeah, I know. But like, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm not complaining. I'm just like, boy, this is anime as heck.
Yeah, welcome to anime 20. Fucking, like, yeah, almost 20 years ago. Fuck.
Yeah, no, like basically 20 years ago at this point, because it would have started with the manga, right?
I mean, Clamp, I think Clamp was around that day, around that time. Their proportions are
also talking about somebody mentioned Nejima. Yes, I do remember Nejima. I read all that. That one was weirder, but that at least was a decent. That one got a little bit of spread. Also, Neji himself, or Negi, I guess would be. I think it's a harder G. Was like 10.
Yep.
Like, he used magic powers to turn himself 15, like, later in the show for disguises or something, but most of the time he was 10. Shooting magic shit. Great manga, by the way. You should read it. Super cool. Well, yeah, it was really rushed. It ends very harshly because the mangaka wanted to draw a fucking shonen battle anime, but they were like, no, dude, you did Love Hina. You only write harem romances now. And he was like, sure, of course. Then let me just turn this fucking romance harem into fucking supernatural battle.
It's like, wait, no, you can't do that. It's like, no, I'm Ken Nakamatsu. I do what I want.
Watch me. I still haven't read the sequel. Is that still going?
That's still going, yeah.
I don't know if that makes me more or less ready to read it.
It's called UQ Holder, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I know. I know the setup. Very interesting. It's got meta plot. Touches on the themes. That's why it's a sequel. But yeah, so I've watched the whole first season, the first 27 episodes. That was the thing that really struck me now, like I said, as a 27-year-old man. I'm like, boy, none of these people really look or act like they're... Okay, well, because of Inuyasha's character, yes, he's a giant man-child. He arguably acts, like 10 sometimes. Even though he's like 250 years old or something. But whatever. The main cast is supposed to be young adults, basically. Like, they're all mid-ish, late-ish teens, etc. Like, I believe it was said somewhere that even though he's God knows how old, Sesshomaru is supposed to be, like, drawn like he's 19 or 20. Kind of thing. Like, and he's the older brother archetype. So it's kind of interesting to see the tropes, and then I'm just like, don't think about it too much. It's just fiction, baby.
Yeah.
Sango is 16. Moroku's not that old either. Like, that's not supposed to be weird and creepy. Like, Inuyasha is probably like, that's a little strange.
Sango being 16 actually weirds me out a little bit. Just a little bit.
I mean, honestly, I think she makes more sense as a 16-year-old than Kagome does as a 15-year-old for her competence level, because Sango is 16 in the Sengoku era, raised by demon slayers. So it's like...
I guess that makes sense, but, like, Sango was always the big sister.
Right, because she was a year older than Kagome. It kind of makes sense. But yeah, it's a little weird. Also, fun fact, her brother Kohaku, I think they explicitly call it, he's like 9. I'm like, damn anime. He's like 9 or 10. It's like, wow. But yeah, Moroku's not supposed to be that old either. He's like, I think it is at his best, he's like 18 or 19.
Look at all
like
these
I said, like Sesshomaru is supposed to be. He's physically described as if he's the equivalent of 19 or 20, even though again, God knows how many century olds he is. But it's another one of those like really big kind of. It's just one of those things that stuck out at me, like, huh. That said, still pretty good. I don't know, Axe. Sometimes you make me feel ancient. Axe is talking about how I'm only like 5 years older than him. There's definitely a little bit of a gap there. Much like there are a couple things that, like, Lucky's only, like, 5 years older than me. There's still some gap between us where I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't remember that. I was a tiny baby child then. I don't sell yourself short. Aren't you good at math and stuff, Axe? Or am I thinking of everybody else? Anybody who's not me. Anyway, yeah, so I was rewatching it. Like I said, I'm planning to go through the things. It's... Like I said, the soundtrack's very iconic. A lot of the scenes are kind of are like very memorable. Like I'm like, yeah, I remember these beats. So it's kind of an interesting watch. And like I said, I'm gonna hit up the 2 seasons on Netflix. I'll watch all 4 of the movies that are on Netflix because the movies were pretty good, especially the later ones. Did a lot of canon backfilling. Did a lot of like interesting side plot stuff. Especially the 3rd movie in particular is known for doing a lot of world building, which is cool. That's always a good thing when your anime movie is like additive. Mm-hmm. And not like 90% of the Naruto movies, which did nothing and just ended with a different Rasengan. I know, I watched a lot of them. Don't you sass me.
And we will never reference this movie again.
Yeah, there's been some spitballing about his age. They might have clarified it. This also might not account for the fact that he spent 50 years in stasis. But the thing is, right, like, the point is that as a half demon, as a hanyo, half yokai, he's not aging in the same way that people are, because he has the emotional maturity of like a 9-year-old. I'm kidding. He is also a very, as a phrase we've used in our RP sessions before, he's very sassy bitch baby. Like that's part of his character growth. But all in all, like I was watching it back, and I think it's thematic, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Part of it was because it is actually mentioned as an inspiration in L5R, but that made me think about stuff like talking about reference pools. Like there's been a couple of times where, sorry to like call you out, Axe, but you're my specific example in this anecdote. Sorry, but Axe has brought up like, oh, is it like Nio? Is it like Nio? And I'm like, I don't know, because I've never played it. I may have watched Lucky play it for like 10 or 15 minutes before I decided to go do something else. No offense to Lucky, but sometimes when you're just chilling during games, sometimes it's like, I got work to do. Which I'm sure Lucky feels the same way about some of my game streams, where he's just like, I'm just not into this. I'm going to do other stuff.
I don't know. I hung out through all your Squadron.
No, you did. But I don't think you're that disinterested in it,
Yeah, like, it's like, I'm literally watching it to see if I want to pick it up so I can like support you in multiplayer.
But so the better analogy for that, because you explained why, well, you're not gonna, Axe is talking about getting me to play it or whatever. I'm like, nah, you won't. I got enough shit to do. Okay. But an actual better analogy that would work for me is like, honestly, is asking if it was like Inuyasha, because L5R is, while I do believe there is some spiritual inspiration there, there's a lot of the like watching it, I'm definitely seeing like, okay, so there's a lot of weird yokai here, do a lot of weird stuff here. It's not like that in the sense that, in L5R, well, the historical periods that Legend of the Five Rings is based on do not necessarily reflect the Sengoku period, for instance, which is when Inuyasha is set. In Inuyasha, human government is useless. Samurai and local lords are basically always either fighting each other or always absolutely jobbing to demons, yokai, basically. With powerful yokai being, super big, scary, demon-y type guys. There are some antagonists who are human, but they are usually powered by the Shikon Jewel. So they're like supernaturally enhanced to actually be relevant on the power tiers. And like the only exception is some of the protagonists where, like Miroku is a holy man who has his wind tunnel thing. So yes, he's usually relevant, though somebody joked earlier about how, oh gee, I see you have a wind tunnel. Sure be bad if some bees showed up. Because holy shit, we did that plot so much. Oh no, Naraku's hell bees are here. I can't use my wind tunnel without poisoning myself. Beat. Wind tunnel! Which, shout out to Baroku for always sucking it up, literally, every time, but it's very repetitive. Oh no, the enemy's using my weakness against me. I'll just power through it because I'm a Japanese protagonist. Oh no, I'm super poisoned, I'm dying. Sango, before I die, please bone me. You're fine. Shit. Missed it. Oh, I've only watched 27 episodes, but boy howdy, I'm still already being like, man, the people are not kidding. There is a lot, I remember this correctly, there's a lot of drawn out romantic tension in this. Boy howdy. But yeah, so the Legend of the Five Rings setting is not like that. Samurai are the major authority figures, like they are part of the structure, and you can go more than 5 feet without tumbling over a yokai who will explode you. But it still, like, I think has a lot of decent touchstones for, like, when you do run into the supernatural and other stuff, what can happen. Like, there's a lot of comments about, like, spiritual power with priests and priestesses, certain actions, interactions between spiritual beings and humans in a lot of ways, They plague your towns, they demand sacrifices, they do stuff. There are actually, spirits and gods and things that you run into. Sacred objects. And honestly, while it's not a direct one-to-one for, like, how basic Legend of the Five Rings work, you could totally work all the 4 heroes as L5R characters. Maybe not in this edition, because I feel like Inuyasha's build is very min-maxy, right? Mm-hmm. Earlier editions used to be point-buy. I feel like Inuyasha's the kind of guy who's like, okay, so I took, like, 6 disadvantages about my horrible past and my lost love and my dad's enemies so that I could get hella birthright artifacts. And basically be a Ronin loaded with magic items, because boy howdy, he has a lot of heirlooms and shit. The Test Saiga is very much a good model for what Nemuro and I are like in L5R, awakened items. Because the sword kind of has a mind of its own, and has a lot of ambiguously defined magical powers. So he'd probably be like some kind of Ronin with a lot of, like I said, a lot of advantages and disadvantages. Baroku's very easy to play as just I guess probably a Fortunist monk, because he just does, like, prayers and stuff. He's got a Shakujo, the traditional staff, which I know is coming in Celestial Realms whenever that PDF comes out. Please, save me, FFG. But he's, again, probably, like, talking about disadvantages. He has, like, a curse effect that he usually, like, inverts to be a good thing. Kind of, or, you could work it as an artifact. If I remember rightly, I believe there is actually a high-level void inversion, a void technique, which, like, lets you throw enemies out of reality so they, like, cease existing, but it's, like, rank 5, so it's a big deal. But it's kind of like that. There are literally samurai who fight and slay demons for a living, and there's a vassal family of one of the crab families, the Kuni, who are known to harvest the bits and bobs of various evil creatures and demons and oni and stuff so that science can be done to them. So, like, Sango's kit's very easy to replicate in L5R. The, like, time travel stuff with Kagome is hard, but the Kaito family and their basic school, the Kaito Shrine Keepers, are 100% all Kikyo and Kagome, like, Shrine Maiden tropes. Like, they use magic arrows, they have ill-defined spiritual powers, they're kind of different from everybody else's spiritual powers. Fun stuff. And they're after a plot token. So it's like, yeah, no, some of the trappings of this work. And like I said, I need to check out the sequel to see how that goes too, but I don't know. I'll probably at least power through my rewatch that's on Netflix first. I've been doing that on the casual DL while I'm not doing Genshin Impact, or working on Ghosts of Tsushima, or working on my Gacha games, or playing my Switch. Man, old Mario games. Nintendo hard, am I right? Mm-hmm. So I've played some Sunshine. I've got a decent number. I got like 10 or whatever shines. I assume there's probably like 100. So I'm like a 10th of the way through that. Man, some of those are rough though. It's still pretty fun. Just sometimes figuring it out at like 4 o'clock in the morning as I'm laying in bed is hard. Maybe I should play more during big brain hours. All right, so that was anime, and I kind of dovetailed that into RPG stuff. We're at about 2 hours 45 minutes. I don't think we super have any real big like tabletop stories to tell.
No,
not directly anyway. Oops, that's not what I want to do. I do want to shout out something. I'll drop it in Patreon chat. Something fun happened. We did play D&D this week. Even though our DM was destroyed by baseball. I don't know if you were awake for that, Lucky, but yeah, apparently Vesper's team they were rooting for was doing poorly.
Oh no, I saw Vesper yelling about it in general.
Yeah, Vesper just slowly losing the will to live. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was before D&D. But I don't think it was another kind of like downtime exploring do plot session. It was fun and stuff, and we got to go into little. But something that kind of happened during a lull is Vesper brought up this hack, a homebrew hack for 5e, which introduces a lot of Final Fantasy 14 stuff into it, and we all looked it over. It actually looks really interesting, and I want to share this with you because I know you like the 14s.
I do.
And you'd probably appreciate it. But it's a very comprehensive homebrew. It's full of either outright homebrew classes, splats basically, or alternate paths, like being a rogue but playing a Final Fantasy style ninja. Or I think the paladin archetype for this is Sultan Sworn, etc., etc. They got like standalone dragoons, red mages, etc. Yeah, dancer. That said, I think literally at least 3 people were like, but a red mage though.
Of course.
That includes me, by the way. I've always liked red mages. But it actually seems to kind of play out a little well. And it kind of it looks interesting. I don't know if any of us are going to like outright change or include any of the stuff from it. Just because we're 5 or 6 sessions in, we're like level 4. We're already pretty like as fun as some of this stuff sounds. I'm like, no, I'm pretty set on my character's characterization as being a paladin of Bahamut. Like, I think it works. We don't need to do anything weird, but it seems like a lot of fun. And I definitely wouldn't mind using those elements either for a play or in a like if I ever ran it. Like, I could see using those elements, and like I said, I wanted to kind of share this with you because I know you like that stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it is.
But yeah, I don't think I got anything further. It is also almost midnight. I would probably like to get this episode edited and uploaded sometime before day breaks.
Yeah, no, that'd be good.
So, yeah, Lucky, do you have anything else you want to talk about? Otherwise, I think we'll just wrap it up here.
No, I'm good.
All right, okay. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed What's Up. I already knew what the title would be, and I'm glad I got to say it. It's going to be called Inuyasha Impact. I'm a funny man. I don't know what the AK is yet, but I'll tuck it in there. I'll think of something. I'll probably put the Genshin Impact logo in the thumbnail, so people will know that's what I'm baiting them about. I'm not really baiting them, like I said, we talked for 45 minutes at the start there. You just gotta get through my Squadron thoughts. So yeah, let's do the wind down and the outro. Sorry, getting a little dry. That's another good sign to stop. Okay, so, if you like this episode and you're watching on YouTube, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. You can also hit us up on our Discord. The link is, as always, in the description and on our channel page. It's a fun time. Join us. We talk about stuff. You too can watch Vesper slowly shrivel up and die at baseball. We also, if you're new here, you can subscribe to the channel to get all our latest videos. You can also hit that bell for notifications, even if you're already subscribed, so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. If you didn't have notifications on, you may not have realized I was going to stream at like 11 o'clock at night. First time I tried scheduling a stream. It definitely seems like YouTube is less temperamental when you do that. I'll try to make sure to set something up for Tuesday as well. I normally don't do that because I'm like, I have no fucking idea when I will stream, but it waits for me anyway, so I can kind of like work with it, I think. But still, it definitely seems like it didn't want to, it didn't fight me as much as it usually does. Anyway, notifications let you know we got stuff going on. It's great. You can also join our channel. Membership link is down there. Hit the join button or click the link in the description. And of course, like we said at the front of the show, you can consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. You can get access to this episode in audio format, little as $1 a month or $10 a year, which is why I say, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, because I don't know, you might have listened to it. Though if you also listen to the audio and watch on YouTube, huge shout out to you for supporting us that way too. And I think that is going to be what's up for this week. So, goodbye, everybody. Glide out. Glide out. It's like rollout, but glide.
Mm-hmm.